Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Dunigan, and we have a long-awaited special guest that it's been some time.
No, I'm Marley Silverbrand, and just in case anyone's wondering, I am driving on the freeway, and I'm using a Bluetooth in case there's any cops listening. I'm not actually breaking the law.
Yeah, I mean, I know if you do get pulled over by a cop, first thing we'll be doing is blare like "fuck the police."
If you get pulled over by a cop, don't turn the mic off.
Yeah, you never know. We've seen what's been going on in Baltimore lately. You're part black, so you got to keep this thing recording, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
We were actually gonna do this shit actually at my place, and then we just kind of lost track of the time. We actually, not so much that we forgot. Oh wait, it's Sunday. Bart leaves ridiculously early Sunday, and then on top of that, I mean, we're trying something new. We're doing all this over the phone. We don't have any Skype going right now because of technical difficulties and all that. So we're gonna see how long we do this Larry King, you're on the air thing.
Yeah, and for anybody wondering what the hell a BART is, that's the Bay Area Rapid Transport.
Mine just said caller failed. Is anybody still there?
Well, we might have lost Marley then.
Well, that was the shortest goddamn, we're just going to keep recording. And if he calls back, I'll pick up.
Yeah, he'll just be caller on the air.
Yeah. If he comes back, we'll know who it is. Anyway, but yeah. So he'll come back around. By the time he gets back, maybe we'll be talking about Avengers or something. But yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm not doing too bad right now. I found this weird monster in store. It was in Big Lots. You know, the place where... You always wonder why it's in Big Lots, because clearly it could have been sold to the regular public.
Big Lots is like the island of lost toys for just standard grocery store products.
It really is. Well, I got this. It's a monster, but it's called an Uber Monster. It's a energy brew from Germany version. It looks like a giant dark beer, but I'll tell you this, it tastes just like a green Monster in a bottle.
I just got a text from Wiley. It says, fuck AT&T.
Yep, we all know that. AT&T service, never that good, but... Sad thing is I don't think there is any service out there that doesn't get the fuck whoever you are service. Verizon gets the same thing. People that have Sprint say the same thing. T-Mobile and so on.
Mm-hmm. It's also one of those things. I bet I know where he's at. He's probably, people who aren't from California, the Bay Area, probably know what I'm talking about. He's probably going through the windmills right now. And the windmills, that's as soon as you go through that mountain area.
The Ultimate Pass.
He's probably going through that right now. Anyway, well, Marley calls us back when he calls us back.
Okay, did he call you back at all, or was that just the phone?
I don't know what it was. It's Apple sometimes does that thing where it just says, they just bring a button up. Oh, just call them back. I try to swipe out of the way, but just call them back. But anyway, so, we'll just worry about that later. So, either Marley, it'll come back later by the end of the podcast, or it was just kind of a little Marvel tease, a cameo, maybe it'll be in the next movie, like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's about all we got with that. So, well, there it goes to having that third person on the podcast.
Yeah, so much for that. I was looking forward to having Marley back on too. Anyway, let's go. The reason why we're all fucking here in the first place, Avengers 2.
Oh yeah, Avengers 2. I went and saw that. The first showing they had was at a 7:15 at night showing, and it was on Thursday. So I was thinking, okay, I mostly don't like night showings, especially when they're early on because it's going to be really crowded. But I was doing the toss. I was like, it's Thursday night, so somebody's got to put a little bit of extra effort to go see it Thursday, right? That's going to hopefully keep some school kids away. I mean, parents this day and age, I think that's not such a big issue as it once was. I remember growing up and when Star Wars Episode 3 came out at a midnight showing, it was on Thursday or whatnot. Only so many people could go to that still. Most people be like,
oh. I care less and less. Maybe the younger generations are that. I'm not saying that we got parents who don't give a shit. I just think the parents are well, chances are there's less likely shit they're going to run into in real life than the internet. If they stay indoors all day, they'll be on the internet, they'll end up in some weird fucking places. Go outdoors, more likely not as going to be as weird as the internet. So But yeah, sure, let him go out. Let him be out till midnight.
So, I got there extra early, got this exact seat I wanted, and it was pretty crowded, but hell, it didn't make a difference because I had the good seats. And man, Avengers 2, that kind of did everything pretty darn well. I couldn't complain too much in it. I had even more action because now they already know each other, so we already have the team set up. That's like the most important part. Because the first one you have to get that, like, let's get to know each other. And this one's just, nope, let's just start off. We just fight, big crime across the world, fight off evil terrorist organizations and so on. They start off just destroying the rest of Hydra or whatnot at the very beginning.
Yeah, sorry. We don't have the fucking Skype. I don't have the Skype screen, so I don't know if wait, do you want me to talk now? Fuck. Yeah.
I know. I thought about putting that Skype screen on at the same time, but then Marley was there, and then I was like, fuck it, let's not do that. But
yeah. But no, like that one, I'll say, I don't know if it's my favorite Marvel movie, but I got to watch it again. Guardians and Captain America 2 are still pretty high up there, but this one is definitely at least, like, possibly 3 or 4. So, and I think that it was actually, I'm kind of like with you. There's not really a whole lot I can really complain about. Not that I'm going to these looking for something to complain about, but it's usually, okay, Robert Downey Jr. is usually cracking a one-liner every 5 seconds. Not that they're not funny, it's just he does it so consistently that it reaches a point where it just kind of gets stale. Black Widow, not that Scarlett Johansson's a bad actor, I just didn't really care for that character that much, and she's never really done a whole lot for me. And I think in this movie that everybody was kind of spot on and everybody was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I will say if there's one minor complaint I have to it, it's kind of the same with like the first one. There is just a little too much comedy. I mean, it is that movie where there is a joke just about at least every 3 lines, give or take.
I didn't notice that so much. I didn't think there was as much comedy in this. There were some funny moments, but there wasn't like as much comedy as there was. But I mean, it wasn't like show-stopping comedy because I think Guardians of the Galaxy definitely had way more comedy than this did.
Really?
I think, yeah, definitely.
This movie, it was definitely, you could probably count every 3 lines or so, as I give or take, comedy, unless it was supposed to be one of those like touching scenes or something like that. But yeah,
scenes where Hulk gets like Scarlett Johansson alone, like just touch Hulk.
Yeah, like some of those ones. But I mean, like, and once again, I'm not, like, okay, you don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of funny jokes in there, and it's not like it's bad humor or anything. I mean, it's probably a bit of an overkill. Like, to me personally, if they minused about maybe 25% of the comedy out, that'd probably be just a little bit better. I think that's what makes those Marvel movies sell, because really, if you break down like a Marvel and a DC movie, the thing that's different about them is that the Marvel movies always have more comedy in them.
Yeah.
Give or take, something like I thought Captain America 2, I think I look at that as one of the pinnacles of like, it's got enough seriousness in it, but then just a dash of humor. And I like that.
Well, I think some of the comedy in this one, like, the comedy that I thought totally worked, like Tony Stark he wasn't spouting lines. He wasn't spouting 20 lines every 5 seconds. I mean, he still probably is one of the more funnier characters, but it wasn't as frequent as it was like an Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 2. And plus, another thing, I thought that some of the humor that did work was was Ultron. Because Ultron is one of those characters, I haven't really read a whole lot of stuff with Ultron in it, but I assume he's kind of more of a character who's kind of like, I am superior than you, you are all just feeble mortal. I assumed he's something kind of like that effect. In this movie, when he was just kind of like a very condescending dick who, he is smart, he does have that same kind of like, I am superior to you kind of philosophy, but he almost does it in a very like sarcastic, kind of bored, condescending kind of mood. I think that really adds to the character.
No. I thought that was pretty funny there. But it is just one of those ones where, maybe it's because like I already noticed it from seeing it in all the other Marvel movies, but it is just that like constant line after line after line, and I know that's what draws the audience in, because you can see that the audience really thinks it's funny. I mean, like every single line, they're busting up laughing, and so on. And I think that sort of eases the tension of it being a superhero thing, because I think that's also part of what turns people off sometimes from superhero stuff, is when it's taken too serious. They start doing the thing like, whoa, like this is, it's weird. It's comic booky. Why is it taken so serious? This is not supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be kind of funny. Give me a bit of Adam West in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I see what you're saying there.
because look at Man of Steel. Man of Steel doesn't really have like, there's not really that many jokes in that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and some of the
I
stuff
think
that's funny, I think, is unintentional humor.
Unintentional humor. There's the part where he impales like the dude's truck with like with a log or something. But beyond that, though, it is pretty bleak and pretty serious. I think we took it in Dark Knight and all that just because. Well, hey, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Joker was funny in Dark Knight. Dark Knight, I thought Joker was legitimately funny in a really weird, kind of fucked up way. But other ones, though, like Begins and Rises, I think it's more like we already seen like very comical Batman. So I think by the time they got to Dark Knight, it was something way different.
Yeah,
So
it was just do the opposite, do the exact opposite.
Yeah, so I think it works with Batman, but when they try, I think that maybe their thing is, well, we can't make it too serious because then people won't take it seriously. We got to give a little kind of like wink and nudge to the audience once in a while. And clearly, I mean, I'll be honest, I've warmed up a lot more to the Marvel movies, and I think this is probably, I don't know if it's their best one. It's definitely probably my two favorites so far is Winter Soldier being number one, Guardians, and then maybe this one. I don't really. I got to watch it again, but this one might be a little higher. But I think this definitely is like better than Avengers 1, which Avengers 1 was already a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I think so too. Avengers 1, I think it's good. I think it's a good start. It does have that sort of thing that I think if it just had like about another villain or two in it, it would just make the stakes a little bit higher. I think there's the fact that Loki's kind of the main villain who was already beaten once in another guy's movie, and it was just one of them. So when it's like, okay, Thor beat Loki, now you have 6 guys fighting Loki. It kind of does that thing like, well, if one guy can do it, why the hell do you need 5 others?
Well, I will say that I for a long time, I was like, I'm going to get Avengers. I didn't get it for a while, and it was like about a week before this movie came out. Like, I'm just going to go out and buy it. It's never going to drop down price because it's a Disney movie now.
Yep.
So I just went out and bought it and watched it again. After waiting without seeing it for like almost 2 or 3 years, watching it again, and actually it is way better than we're seeing it in theaters. And it's more than anything, I mean, I guess this is just looking at it as like, this is going to sound so weird, but I guess almost kind of like, A, looking at it as a film perspective, B, looking at it as like a business perspective. It is really surprising they managed to make a movie that's that many characters in it, not feeling overcrowded, made sense the whole way through, was entertaining, and on top of that, they still found a way to make it accessible enough for people who do not see any of the other previous Marvel movies. Because I've talked to people who have never seen the Marvel movies. They just went to Avengers blind. Like, well, I don't know who they were, but I was able to figure it out by just watching the movie. Like, the movie actually gives the audience a little bit of credit. It doesn't like talk down to them and give them too much exposition. So I think that just in that aspect, I got so much more respect for that movie just looking at it the second time around like that. So
No.
And this one just improves upon that.
Yeah, because I saw Avengers once it came out on DVD, not too long afterwards again, and I liked it. I liked it even a little bit more when I saw it the second time around. I don't think it's totally like. It's not like it's. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think that one still has some flaws, which I think have been. It was the Winter Soldier for at least the Marvel section of movies. I felt that was the most ironed out movie where they finally got the groove down. Because not saying anything against the other ones, but the other movies, they all kind of like, they're good, but then they kind of might have some pitfalls here and there in them, where Winter Soldier was just pure perfect pretty much. And they even took characters like Scarlett Johansson, who's not really a great actor, and finally it was like, okay, she's not written or directed bad or whatever happened there. She was smoothed out, and I personally, it's like, if you can make a movie where you get Scarlett Johansson in it, because I don't like her whatsoever, and if I go, okay, she wasn't that bad in it, then you did a pretty good job. And that's what I thought.
Go ahead, I cut you off.
And I say that's what Winter Soldier sort of did for me there. And then in this Avengers 2 one, it's like, she's not really too bad in this one either. I think the problem was in the first couple movies, and especially the Avengers, they made her just a little bit over the top, and by that standard, it was just like, no.
For a while, she was just kind of like, she seemed very dull. It was more up to me. It was like, I don't think Scarlett Johansson's even that bad of an actress. I don't have a problem with her. I just never really cared that much for Black Widow. But in this movie, though, I mean, I think the other movies, instead of she never killed it or broke it for me. It's just like she was one of the characters that didn't really have any real effect on me. But because she just seemed to be kind of like the badass chick with a gun. That's about it. She wasn't dumb. She wasn't brainless, but she just seemed kind of like blank. Kind of like, okay, she'd say a catty remark here and there, but then she was just a badass. You know what I mean? There just didn't really seem to be a whole lot to her.
Well, to me, it was like the thing that bothered me is like they made it so like she outsmarted Loki and all this stuff. I'm like, bull fucking shit. I'm like, this is, and the only thing I kind of like have, this is like my slight problem with the this is just kind of the Black Widow character in general. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong if a character doesn't have any superpowers, but you sort of have a character that's firing guns around a bunch of other people that have these much more powerful, like, attacks and abilities and everything. I mean, like, it's like, I accept it enough. I know it sounds like one of those weird things to, like, complain about, like, I mean, because you could say the same thing. It's like, well, Batman doesn't have superpowers and all. I'm like, yeah, but it's fucking Batman, you know? It's like, Batman, he's just trained even better. I mean, I know that she's supposed to be kind of like a Batman where she's the #1 assassin. She's like a Damien, I guess you could say. And you could even say Hawkeye doesn't have superpowers either. I'm like, yeah, but he's got a fucking bow and arrow, and they're gadget bow and arrows too. So it's like, that makes up for you. He's not firing 2 little pistols. Maybe if she was shooting like 2 rocket launchers or something, it would make more sense, but...
If she wouldn't be so quiet, Ultimate Black Widow, she's silent but deadly, just like the Loud Widow, just walks around with just fucking 2 rocket launchers the whole time.
Well, the weird thing, too, is like, this is the weird thing about a Marvel thing compared to a DC one. It's, okay, she's part of the Avengers, and she's, like, killing people, and it's just, like, one of those ones, because you kind of just think about, like, okay, she's shooting people, and they're just, like, going over. I mean, I guess you could always say, like, oh, well, she shot, like, the bullet in an area just to, like, take them down but not kill them. But you just think about it, it's just, like... Well, I don't know. She's shooting people, and they're going down. It doesn't look like there's much life left in them anymore. I'm going to consider that they're dead.
Well, they do. This is Marvel. I mean, Marvel. It's not like the Avengers or Marvel characters revel in like murder, ain't it fun? You know, but it's more it's the effect of like they don't really have as much of that like we don't kill code as Batman or Superman. Because you know, Captain America, he was a soldier, and back in World War II, he was toting a gun. Iron Man's killed some people. I think that in Avengers they were fucking killing aliens and they killed other like humans before. I think it's just one of the things that I think that's just more of a DC thing. I mean I want to say maybe I'm wrong, but I've started reading some more Spider-Man and whatnot. And Daredevil and Spider-Man, I don't think they frequently kill. I think they have killed maybe once or twice. And I'm not talking about Elseworld type shit. I mean I think they have killed like characters before, but it's not like what they're known for. It's not like Punisher or some shit. So I think the same thing applies to like Hawkeye and Black Widow and all that. No, Black Widow obviously.
Well, yeah, Black Widow. That's kind of the
Hawkeye, Captain America, you know, Tony Stark.
I sort of don't picture Captain America killing kind of like post-World War II as much. I'm not saying that like, you know, obviously when the measure calls for it, I'm not saying there can't be a part where they do kill somebody. I don't expect Captain America to like hit somebody with a shield and then run over there and just start smashing their skull in.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I think he won't try and fight around it if he can, but he definitely, that was a plot point, because back in World War II, he did use a gun, but he doesn't really use a gun anymore. He might, like, in like a situation, might take a gun from one of the Chitauri for a second, fire at one. Who gives a fuck? They're not human. We don't care. They're not, you know, that's kind of the way the movies go. You can kill the fuck out of them as long as they're not, like, a human.
Yeah, exactly. But,
or as long as they even don't have a face. Even if they're human, but they're wearing a helmet, and you can't see their face, like they're agonizing, they're like this look of agony in their like last dying hours, you know, then it's all good, you know. I don't feel nothing.
Exactly. But I can't remember really where I was going with the killing part there, but one that I will have
to... It seems weird that she's part of this team of all these kind of like...
Oh, yeah, and she does... Well, she just seems so underpowered compared to everybody else, and I guess I didn't really notice it before too much, you know, and it's like, Black Widow's one of those characters, it's like, I've always kind of known of that character. I've never really read much in it unless she stepped into somebody else's comic and then back, and then, as it always goes to, it's like, DC, it's like, I always feel like I'm a pretty good expert on that. Marvel's one of those ones, like, I know X-Men really well, I know Spider-Man pretty well, and then the rest of the characters, it's like, I know certain, you know, issues and so on, so I'm not a total expert. Black Widow definitely being one of those characters, like, I've probably seen more screen time of Black Widow than I've seen even comic book time.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, she, I kind of know her when she pops in some other stuff. I mean, I was at one point in time, kind of, it feels kind of weird saying this. At one point in time, I would have told you I was more of a Marvel fan that just happened to have Batman as his favorite character. But now it's actually very much become much more DC, and I've actually been reading more Marvel lately, but I mean...
When I was a kid, I used to always say that I was more of a Marvel fan, and then I like some things of DC, like Batman and stuff. And then as it progressively went on, it was just... I just think it's one of those ones, like, don't get me wrong, it's like, I think there's a lot of things I like about Marvel, but I just thought the DC just had the better stories in them, and then you just start to like the characters more, and I felt like there was just a little bit more there, and it gravitated more towards me. In a lot of DC comics, like, they don't have some of the things that sometimes bother me in Marvel comics. So I think, like, the relatable characters, or not the relatable characters, but the pop culture references.
They still get that in DC so often, but one thing I will say about Marvel is, even though I am more of a DC fan, Marvel usually is the one to be kind of the most. They usually are kind of a little bit more ahead of the curve than DC. DC usually takes a minute to kind of catch up and follow and figure out how to do it. Because I mean, I want to say it was primarily Marvel that almost saved comics back in the '60s. Because they started doing things, okay, well, this superhero, rather than just punching people, you know, this is kind of, most people know comics know this, but, like, Stan Lee came in, like, all right, so, all right, here, A, he's a teenager, B, he kind of fucks up and he learns from his mistakes. We got a relatable character right there. We got Spider-Man. That kind of helped bring DC back. He created, like, most of the Avengers, he created. Like, he created Hulk, you know, which was the sad anti-hero that everyone hates, but he couldn't control. He was kind of like Frankenstein. He created Iron Man, which is a setup for a villain who ended up becoming a hero. So, I mean, I think really like...
And he also did the Thor variation, which the old Thor was actually a guy, some random dude in, I don't know, fucking like Norway or something, picked up a hammer one day and gained Thor's powers, and that's the first Thor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the actual Thor. It's a guy that takes on the abilities of Thor. And then they switched that around, God knows when, but...
I didn't know that. Like, what happened? Did, like, Thor just come in, I shall smite thee fucking poser? You know, like, just beats the fuck out of this guy.
You're like, who takes on Thor's hammer? Yeah, that's what happened. And, like, I never really read that. I never read the issues, but I saw that in one of the many, you know, history of comic books or whatever. And, apparently the original Thor character from Marvel's version was a guy that, you know, got the powers of Thor from the hammer somehow, some way. Sort of like a sword in the stone thing. I think that's kind of what they're going with.
That almost sounds more like comic book in a sense. That does sound more of like, that way that gives you like I'm fine with it actually being Thor, but it almost sounds like more of a superhero setup. Like this guy has to live a dual identity. Thor's living in his head, like, come in, let's go get fucking smashed tonight and fuck some chicks. Like, no, dude, I got shit to do. I'm married. Like, fuck that. You're Thor, the Thunder God. You know what I mean?
Marriage?
Yeah. I laugh at such a concept. Like, this is hard. You know, I think that you'd have that inner, like, you'd have almost pre-Deadpool. Like, these two voices go, at least one other voice going on in his head being Thor, the other one being this, like, mild-mannered, you know, I don't know, architect. You know, and
they just happened to find a hammer one day, and just he happened to be the right guy at the right time.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just going with something. Because he being an architect, maybe when he fucks up, when Thor takes over, he has to grab like Thor just to fuck with him, goes and smashes all the fucking work he just put into for months on a building.
You know, he's got like a Fight Club thing where like when he goes to sleep, he turns into Thor.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I mean, I'm fine with it actually being Thor, but I'm kind of thinking like that almost seems like it would be like an easier concept to sell, at least like this day and age. I don't know about this back in the '60s when they started doing. I'm assuming they probably created the Thor comic in the '60s, maybe the '70s, but that right there, I can imagine that more. But I didn't know that about Thor. That originally it was just some guy that possessed the power, whatever, got the hammer. So I wonder they probably just like straight up murdered him in the comic, or Thor's like, get this fucking Thor's out of here. That's my shit. You know?
I know. I kind of want to see what that issue is. It kind of reminds me of like if they had like, once again, we've said this before, but like say if the Norse religion took over the entire world instead of Christianity, and instead we had Jesus and the Avengers. So one day this guy just picks up like a crown of thorns or something like that, and he gains the powers of Jesus.
Yeah. That too, yeah. I would still like to see kind of like, the Avengers, like, who are the Avengers? You got Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Iron Man, Hulk, Jesus,
And it's just all they're all like in an action pose, and Jesus just has like, he has like a mallet and like a piece of wood, like he's getting ready to like build something.
He has like a cross like slung over his shoulder that he can like wield around,
And he surfs on the cross too, like he'll throw it and then jump on it. Kind of like how Thor spins around his hammer and then flies off. Well, he spins around a cross and then jumps on it and surfs.
Like Silver Surfer.
Mm-hmm. Christ surfer.
Oh my God, I want to see that. He kind of like take off his like Thor crown of thorns. The thing lights up. He throws it
like a tiara, like Wonder Woman's tiara.
Yeah, and it kind of like spins around, like it glows, like it's a comic book. It's not gonna be super violent. It glows like yellow, and like he like evaporates all the like non-human bad guys because they're not gonna kill humans in the movies. So.
And then he's see, Jesus would have a lot of sweet powers though if you like kind of like amped him up a bit. Like he's got the power to heal people, so Captain America goes down, he gets shot by a couple bullets, well Jesus can heal him back,
And that could actually be a plot line right there, like and if you kill Jesus, it's like he can die, but he can come back in 3 days.
Yeah, that's the thing is he can come back. So what you gotta do? He has
to come back in just in time. If he dies, like oh God, we gotta get this done within at least 3 days in case like Jesus comes back so he can heal us, during this big fight,
You got to put him in that cave thing or whatever so Jesus come back in 3 days. It's like his Lazarus pit. If he doesn't get back,
they almost got to like try and fight off like Ultron's hordes to protect this cave so Jesus can heal, so he can get back out in the fight and like fuck some shit up,
You could write in something that like if somebody gets the Jesus in those 3 days where he comes back and kills him there, he's like Dracula or something like that. Fuck, if you get him when he's sleeping. And then Jesus just has other quick powers too, like he can like build buildings and stuff in like the matter of seconds. Like Jesus can build walls, and in the matter of seconds, Jesus built a defensive wall.
Like really like super fast, But it can only be made out of wood. He can't do shit with metal. It's old.
It looks like he's like the Flash building something, just like. Brrr.
Yeah, but it can only be done with wood because sometimes they have like those weird limitations back in like 60s and 70s comics. Like the whole thing with Green Lantern being like, they made it out of like, oh, it's not just yellow, it's yellow energy or whatever.
Yeah, it's fear is what it is now, just sort of kind of thing, which makes sense.
Yeah.
If you got willpower, fair, but yeah, that old fashioned like, oh damn it, there's a yellow car that drove by, and you just have like fucking Green Arrow stand there, like Jesus Christ, not another yellow car driving by again, and now Green Lantern can't do anything.
He's just scared of yellow. It's not like yellow. Actually, he's actually literally scared of yellow. That's the real fear right there. He was like pissed on when he was a boy back in summer camp, and now he just has this like lingering fear of yellow.
He's like, a kid held his bladder all day long just to piss on me, and it was pure yellow, like it was gold coming out of his wiener on me. It traumatized me.
That day, so it really fucking stunk.
It was a horrible day it was a horrible week because then the next day I went to go watch my dad at the air races and he fucking died.
What about you, Bruce? The guy who killed your parents pissed on you after he shot him?
And then the worst part too is then they went to put the fire out with like yellow fire retardant.
It looked like imagine like just because of his dude's previous trauma, he just imagines he hallucinates these firefighters just all pissing on like the corpse of his father.
They're like, we're on a water shortage. We got to think of something.
I just got the image of like Sinestro like chasing like Hal Jordan down the road with his dick out, like get over here, trying to piss on him.
So Hal, he's always afraid that his urine's going to be yellow, so he's always just constantly drinking water now.
Yeah, he doesn't touch anything. It's not water.
He just constantly drinks water all day long.
That's why when he hangs out with Flash, he doesn't really like look at the full costume. He just looks him directly in the eye. He can't look at the little yellow ear bands or anything like that. There's more red, so I can tolerate it, but it is kind of distracting.
So just as long as that Reverse Flash doesn't get anywhere near me.
Reverse Flash should be his real enemy.
It really is. Like that should be like Hal Jordan's enemy like way back in the day.
Because he could fuck him up. A, he's like as fast as the Flash. B, he's yellow. He's scared of piss. So, I mean, there's nothing that he can really do to stop. There's nothing he can really do to stop Reverse Flash. That should be his real enemy.
Exactly. Well, back to
Avengers and not Piss. Right?
Yeah, say back to Avengers too. The one thing that I actually like probably the most out of this entire movie, I like how Hawkeye finally got a bunch of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the one thing. It's always kind of like Hawkeye, sort of like he's there. Look, there he is. He's in the background. Oh, he's got a couple lines. Oh, he's there. And it's just like okay, like Hawkeye. I guess to me, I always think of Hawkeye as being almost like a bigger Avenger than some of the other guys that are allowed in there. But and so finally, they gave him like almost this story. It reminds me of sort of that thing where it's an Avengers movie, but it's almost like a lot of stuff like revolves around Hawkeye in this one.
Yeah, that's what I actually liked about this one because they even kind of acknowledge that like because there is that common even in the comics there's that whole thing. Well, he just has a bow and arrow. What makes him so damn special. He even acknowledges that too. He's a little self-conscious about it.
Well, he's got he has like one of the best lines in that entire movie where he's like, we're on a floating island fighting robots, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. Don't question it anymore." Like that part to me was like, that was the perfect time for a comedic line. Like, I mean,
Atlanta really brought it. I thought he's a great Hawkeye. I think
he does. I mean, all I have to say, I really wish, even if they just
the outfit. It was the outfit. I know where you're going.
The outfit, I'll say this, the outfit looked much better. I just think he needs a mask. It's like, just throw a goddamn mask on that guy. You know what I mean? I know Captain America's running around half the time with no mask on, and
It's a pretty face. They got to show like Cap, put that face pussy out there. You got a really nice face. You got to sell this bitch.
I know. You know what? This sounds weird.
They give it reason. Every battle. I don't know if there is one battle where he has the mask on the whole time. At some point, that thing gets ripped off.
It always does. It always happens. And sometimes I kind of go, did he even have a mask on this entire battle, or I can't remember anymore because it was barely on. That's all I know.
I think it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I think the Captain America mask looks fine for the most part, but I do understand why. I mean, even in the comics, they are like. He's fighting with the mask less and less. There was I want to say Captain America. This is such a stupid fucking name for a series, but it is a fantastic series. Castaway in Dimension Z. I want to say 90% of that comic, he does not have his mask, and he's all like looking like Kurt Cobain because he's been stranded on like this planet ran by Zola for like I think like 10 years almost.
Well, see, that sounds different because that sounds like his mask is sort of like now his new look, if you know what I mean.
Well, even after, I mean, I kind of drop in and out of Marvel. It's not like I've been consistent. I've been consistent with Batman primarily since I'd say Hush. Since Hush, I've been fairly consistent with Batman, and I'm consistent with most of Marvel, the stuff I do read. Captain America was one where, I mean, Marvel stuff I hop in and off of. So I want to say that after he came back to life, there was a point where he was Captain America again. He says, fuck this, I'm no longer Captain America. I am like, I think it was something like Agent Zero or Shield Agent. It was something like that. If you take the outfit from Captain America Winter Soldier, take that outfit, remove the mask, that is the exact outfit he was wearing.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not. That doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, because he's got the mask on enough to be good, and I like how, like, with Iron Man, they found the total way. They're like, well, how do we keep the guy? He's got to have the suit on because it'd look weird if Robert Downey Jr. is just flying around with his head exposed. But then they found that perfect way just to put, like, well, we'll just show his face through the mask. Then we get Robert Downey Jr. because he's cost so much.
Mm-hmm.
But
which even his humor, I don't think his humor outweighed the movie. There's, like you said, there's still humor in the movie, but I don't think he was blatantly stopping it dead in its tracks. Like, look at me, I'm funny. All right, let's say what you're saying.
Yeah, I will say his humor is getting a little bit more dialed in because it's one of those ones like. I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and that when I tell people that, they mostly go, "What?" Because like people think of him as being like a godsend.
We probably just lost like 5 listeners if you say.
Yeah, because people just think of it like a godsend. I'm like, dude, the way that I grew up with Iron Man, he was never a comedic character. He was a tragic character, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong. And once again, don't get me wrong, or what I was saying here. Robert Downey Jr., the way that I grew up with him, he was a drama actor. So it's just this like weird combo of 2 serious characters being put together, like a real life person's character. But putting together, and then it's kind of comedic. And I know that sort of like the draw-in factor. I think that's the main reason why Iron Man's popular. I will say, if Iron Man was as serious as Batman Begins, I don't think it would have the popularity as it does. I really think that is the main draw-in, more than anything else, between the DC and the Marvel movies. It's the comedy.
I will say that, let me say this real quick. I don't want to sound like some big Hollywood producer, but when you think about it, look at, like, the Avengers. I mean, because they went into making Iron Man. They didn't just say, hey, let's make Iron Man. You know, while we're at it, why don't we just leave it to the Avengers? This is all planned. If you look at Iron Man, I mean, okay, you got Thor, who is very kind of like, he's a badass, and he's not a dumbass. He's just a man in a different world. Yeah, so there are things that are just kind of over his head. He's your blunt warrior with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Captain America is he's your Boy Scout.
Yeah, he's your grandpa if your grandpa travels from the past to the future.
But they found a way to make, because that was the thing about Captain America. A lot of people are like, brush your fucking teeth, kids. That's what they always thought of Captain America. They do such a great job of, like, from early 2000s, from like, I want to say like mid-2000s till now, I think they did a really good job of writing Captain America, giving him kind of like those old school values, but not making him seem like an old fogey. You have like Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, who is basically the badass chick, and then you have Hulk, who is like, who's just kind of like, he's afraid, he's going to freak out and kill everybody, so he tries to be as chill as possible. And then you have Hawkeye, who is it was kind of funny, but he's a little bit more of like, he still is kind of like another badass. I think they said, well, we got to go in here, and we got to have one funny guy. Because, I mean, when you look at the Avengers, there isn't a lot of funny people on the Avengers. And
I will say, in the Avengers movies, though, everybody's got jokes pretty much throughout the whole thing. Cap's got jokes. Thor's got jokes. Hawkeye's got jokes. Of course.
Different kind of humor. Like, Thor's jokes are kind of more of like, he doesn't realize he's almost kind of like oblivious to kind of like these mortal ways.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, the way it's written, I'm not saying how he interprets it, but the way it comes out to, like, an audience is they have quite a bit of jokes in there. And I'm not necessarily saying that's, like, too bad. I'm just saying maybe just a little bit less. That's all I guess I'm sort of asking for, is just a tad bit less on the humor.
I think it's already just dropped a less since Phase 1 and Iron Man 3. I think it's dropped drastically. So, and I still think Guardians of the Galaxy had more humor in it than this did.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy, the humor was different in that one. Like, that one was a little bit more intentional. Where I guess maybe to me, I still have a hard time coming across looking at Avengers as like an action comedy, you know. And
it's no action comedy to me. It just felt like, oh yeah, we're having a good time. That's all it really felt like. It didn't really feel.
Well, I'm gonna say, if any movie has about a comedy line every about 3 lines, I'm like, it's an action comedy. By that point, if there's that much comedy in it, it's an action comedy. You know, I mean, it would be the same thing as like Lethal Weapon 3, or being like, you know.
I'll be honest, I got more the vibe of Lethal Weapon 1, where the comedy that's in it is pretty good, but it's not relying so much on comedy.
Well, Lethal Weapon 1 doesn't really have, like, that's what makes that series so weird, because it's known as an action comedy, but it's like that first one's not an action comedy at all. It's actually kind of a serious movie with, like, you know, it's got bits of humor in it, like any movie, but it's more about a guy who's, like, dealing with suicide.
Yeah, but I want to say there still was some, it's kind of like more just the reaction between, like, Murdoch and Riggs. So I think that, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's been at least, like, probably 2 years since I've seen any of the Lethal Weapon movies. But, I don't know, the action, the comedy, maybe just because it's a Marvel movie and you expect so much comedy, that by this point I didn't really notice the comedy as much, you know? I mean, you get catty little one-liners where, like, Cap drops his shield and says something to Cap drops his shield and Widow says something like, am I always picking up after you boys? Like, that kind of shit I'm not really going to count. That's just...
See, I'm counting that stuff because, to me, I think that all adds up is, like, even if it's just a giggle, it's still part of it. I'm not talking about, like, just the lines that are, like, bing! Not like those giant comedy landmarks. I'm talking about everything from just the minor lines to, like, the large ones. And I'm not saying, and once again, I'm not saying it's, like, the worst thing. It's just, it's very noticeable to me. And maybe that's just because, like, from watching the first Avengers that had a lot of comedy in it, and then I was doing that thing, I'm like, I wonder how much comedy they're going to have in this one. And, you know, sequels mostly always have more comedy than the previous ones. This one I felt had about the same amount.
I will say though, I mean, in this one I did notice the comedy. It didn't bother me as much. Like I said, I think it's kind of toned down a little from other movies. But maybe the comedy was just better in this one. But,
I think that's true too. I think the comedy was like more relevant. It wasn't so not as much slapstick.
I guess you could say. I mean, I guess you could say this one. I guess it flowed more naturally rather than kind of like Robert Downey Jr. like stopping the room as if he's kind of working his way through a comedy routine and then letting the story progress on. You know.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's what it's the thing that always makes me laugh too. It's like I always look and I go like these Avenger movies or these Marvel movies in general are mostly really popular and they got all this comedy in them, and I kind of always look and go, it's not really any different than like a Batman '66 kind of thing. I mean, that's sort of.
I think the thing with Batman '66 is a lot of people were not aware that was satire. A lot of people thought, or at least people looking back on it, assumed that wow, they thought this shit was cool, or they thought this shit was.
Oh well, that's kids though. I mean, like where like, or even like I always look at like a Batman and Robin and Batman Forever that are kind of written as comedies themselves. It's like there's probably as much humor. I mean, like they do have more slapstick, I will say, in those two than like say the Avengers, but about probably joke for joke, I bet you there's almost more in the Avengers.
And keep in mind, I love being Batman, but I do think the comedy in the Marvel movies is probably more well written.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think, as I said, it's a little bit more relevant, but I'm almost just comparing it as just like those two things for the fact that people always put down Batman and Robin so hard, and then it's kind of like you go, well, these Avengers movies and stuff, they have like that same kind of comic edge that, I mean, like I could see for the fan putting down Batman and Robin, it's like I see where they're kind of coming from. I always look at Batman and Robin and Batman Forever just kind of the thing that's like, well, they're based off the Batman '66 show, so if you think of them like that, just in the 90s, then you can kind of see where it all comes from. Where, more just a comedy thing. I don't know what it is. I just noticed that, because you think about, like, The Watchmen, that movie's pretty darn serious. Not very much comedy in it. Now, I'm going to say, yeah, obviously there's little bits and humor here and there. Batman, not as much comedy. Superman. The closest one that probably be having the comedy is the Green Lantern, but that's because it was trying to be a Marvel movie.
Yeah. But I think that maybe this one, I don't know, I think this is definitely one of the stronger ones. But let's talk about something I know that you were talking about. Like, I really want to see this fucking character. Why the fuck isn't he here yet? Vision.
Vision. That was the one that I was bummed he was not in the first Avengers. And I was kind of bummed that he wasn't in anything else, like cameo-wise, so far. And to finally see him in there, because, I mean, dude, come on. The Vision, that is the original Marvel superhero. Before the Fantastic Four, before Captain America, before any of those guys, he's before all of them.
Wasn't Submariner the first one, or was it Vision?
No, Vision is, but he was the guy. It's the same robot, but the guy that was pretty much like Johnny Storm, but not Johnny Storm. I can't remember what the character's name is.
He was basically the original Human Torch that became Vision.
Yeah, the original Human Torch guy, whatever that guy's name is, it might even be the Human Torch, I'm not too sure. Or the Robot Torch or whatever. That's Vision, and that's the very first Marvel comics that was a superhero one, where they're breaking away from horror. So that's him, and then later on, in like the 60s or whatnot, he got turned to the Vision. And that's another one of those characters, too, that when I think of like the Avengers, I always think of Vision being one of the main ones. And I thought they did a really good job with Vision in this.
I like how it actually all came around full circle with Jarvis.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of a cool way to do it, too. It's like, oh, so Jarvis kind of is like the start of making Vision, and then him combined together with Ultron's kind of creation, warped into its own being of being the Vision.
Ultron was another character I thought they did a fantastic job with. Like as I said earlier, I thought they used to be very droning, kind of like, you're beneath me, so I'll kill you. But they did a good job of writing him as just like I said, a condescending dick. And his dialogue was beaten as fuck. That was very Joss Whedon style dialogue. But it was kind of like the one line where he's like, I don't know, he said something a little bit more elaborate. So he says like, we're gonna kill the Avengers? He says like, no, we're gonna extinguish him. He just kind of like stops and says, yeah, just kind of walks off,
Yeah, I know. I kind of like it. It was sort of like instead of just making him like, I'm a serious robot, it was more like they gave him some wit, some humor, almost as kind of like, even though technically it's not really realistic whatsoever, it gave it more character, I thought.
Yeah, and also on top of that, another thing was, it's kind of like this is still this is still a funny line, but this is more of just like one of those I thought this was a very meta line, but it actually kind of works. Because sometimes when they try and be too meta, it almost kind of like collapses on itself. But for instance, where she's like, oh yeah, they confront Ultron, not for the first time, but I think maybe the second or third time, and he says something to the effect of like, hey, what's the vibranium for? He's like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. I want to take this time to explain my evil plan. You know, then he attacks him. So I thought that was actually a pretty cool. I mean, it's nothing like amazing, but it's like the small little details like that add up. That kind of make him a little bit more memorable than most of the Marvel Cinematic Universe villains.
Yeah, I agree too, and it's sort of like it's a light breaking the fourth wall, just a bit, but not enough that it's like he's not like he's turning and looking at the audience, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And he's still not so funny. He's not so funny that he doesn't come across creepy. Because when he first kind of staggers out of like Stark's office. And he's all like partially destroyed, and he's kind of like just mumbling gibberish. At some point, he says something like, "Yeah, I killed the other guy." Like, what do you mean? Like, the other guy, he was nice, but I'm a little bit of a realist. You know, he's coming out of like he almost reminds me of like John Malkovich coming out of a hangover.
Yeah, that's a good description of what he's like. Plus, I thought that just like that villain in a sense was. You know, once again, I think the one kind of problem, other than maybe some other little things like the comedy at Black Widow and the first Avengers, was once again, it's just the fact that Loki, one, we already saw him in the first Thor, and two, it's, I don't know, if you just would have had a combination of maybe throwing in an Iron Man villain and a Captain America villain, and, you know, even a Hulk villain, just to kind of make the odds bigger, like they are up against this Legion of Doom. You know,
they even implied a leader, and I mean they almost kind of they acknowledge that Incredible Hulk happened, but they've never really gone back to it. They've never really gone another Hulk movie yet. So they imply at the end of Incredible Hulk the leader is coming, but then it's just like he ain't nowhere yet.
Yeah, he's coming. He's fucking long trip. What's he coming on, like a tricycle or something like that?
Is he gonna be there? Like, is he gonna be there like in fucking Phase 5 or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally a drop of blood, Hulk's blood, drops into the one side of his brain. His head starts to swell. Like, oh fuck, the leader! And then it's just like, where the fuck is he?
Yeah, they never came back to that. Well, I think Ultron in number 2, it's just the fact that he's a machine. He has all these versions of himself out there. It gives the Avengers a good fight, and I think that's kind of the nice thing there. Where I'm not saying that Loki and stuff doesn't commence like. You know, but he's kind of like, he's a smaller guy. He's all about wits, you know, he's all about his intelligence. That's what he's all kind of based on.
They're using him and the Chitauri from the Ultimate, Mark Millar's Ultimate Run.
Yeah, but it's, you know, where Ultron just feels like he can give, you know, all these other guys something to punch, kick, and stab, and so on.
Yeah.
You know, and because there was just, the action in this movie, there's a lot of really good action scenes in it, and they're pretty well balanced out. You know, because sometimes the downfall to a lot of, like, I guess you would say Hollywood action movies is they do the 3 action thing. You get a little action in the beginning, you get a small action scene in the middle, and then you get one large one at the end, and that's about it. This one probably had about at least, I would say about almost 6 action scenes, if not maybe a little bit more if you count just small things here and there.
And they're pretty well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they had other characters in there. Like, there is the one, this is kind of another comedic scene, but I think it kind of works. So it starts off kind of dark and has a little bit of comedy within it. But this is actually another part where Ultron kind of steals the scene a little bit. When they go to Wakanda, actually they don't go to Wakanda. They mention the vibranium is from Wakanda, and they're like, oh shit, they're leading to Black Panther eventually. I really want them to call it Black Panther. I really want to see that character.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
And then they get to this one arms dealer. Now I don't know. This just might be some random just character they made up just for the movie, but I'm going to assume that's probably maybe a B or C list character from the comics.
Yeah.
The same thing as there's like a Strucker. You got the monocle. He's in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie at least had, and he was just kind of like the evil Nazi scientist. So you at least had I'd say at least 2 villains from the comics in there, and then you also have I know that they're Avengers. But I always think of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch as villains. I know they're brother and sister. I know the brother and sister. I know they're like Avengers, but I always think of them first and foremost as villains to me.
Really? I guess to me it's like, because the way that I was thinking of Quicksilver and Red Scarlet is that they're Magneto's kids. They're kind of part of the Brotherhood. That's technically not really like total villains. You know, because Magneto, in my book, I never really look at Magneto as a bad guy. He just does not come across. I mean, I know in the older ones maybe a little bit more, but he's a guy who's just fighting for his people.
I'm just speaking narratively, not like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of times, Quicksilver and Red Scarlet, maybe sometimes they're bad guys, but a lot of times they're not even on Magneto's side themselves. They're kind of doing their own thing. But I thought it was an interesting way to go about them, because that was the first when we saw what was it, Guardians? Was that the one that had them at the end, or was that Captain 2?
Captain America 2.
Okay, Captain America 2. See, that's where the things all start to run together. Is what was at the end of each one, but when they showed both them in there, it was sort of that thing. It's like, well, how are they going to explain that? I mean, you can't have Magneto, so, and then they just kind of explain it easily in the movie. It's like, oh, well, their parents died in a building collapse. So, I took these kids in, experimented on them, and gave them powers. Boom, they're not mutants. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, but it worked, and then you had fucking Kick-Ass, who was Quicksilver.
Taylor Johnson, yeah.
And I thought both of them did a really good job as the characters. Like, I liked it a lot, and it was cool to see. Yeah, it was cool to see Red Scarlet in there, because that's something you don't really see very often.
Yeah,
she's not in any of the X-Men ones, I don't think, unless she's in some background character.
I don't think she's been in any of them yet. But no, I will say that, like, as far as, I don't really know. I mean, I know him primarily from, like, Mark Millar's run and Jeff Loeb's run in Ultimates. But I'm glad that, like, Quicksilver died early enough to, like, so not to answer the question, are they fucking each other?
Yeah, like, that was the weird, well, it was just that ultimate thing to, like, go like, yeah, let's make Marvel seem like edgy and extreme. Because sometimes that's another thing that's always been kind of a...
Though, because there had to be some kind of meeting where, like, okay, this is the Ultimate Universe. We're going to try things different, okay? They're going to relate to the audience. They're going to talk about movies that just came out, bands that are popular. They're going to be fucking each other's sisters. Wait, what? That's what kids are into these days, right? Fucking each other, like their brothers and sisters. Like, no, where the fuck did that come from? Oh, don't worry. This shit.
It's a Scottish thing, I guess. You just kind of happens when you're in a small country.
It's just like, oh, come on, man. I say tomato. I say tomato. You say tomato. I say brother's fucks the sister. Come on, man. Kids will get into it. Like, what the fuck? I don't know where that came from, because it came out of nowhere. I mean, as far as I know, that didn't happen originally. But when we got to the Ultimate stuff, like it was like one of the things. At first, Mark Millar, like, hinted and teased it in Ultimates. He just kind of like hinted, like, they're fucking, and it's like, oh, okay, that's weird. And like, maybe they are, maybe they're not. And then, like, Jeff Loeb's like, oh, no, they're fucking. Well, don't worry, we're gonna make that the whole like point, the whole point of why the story happens in Ultimate 3. Don't worry about it. And Ultron's gonna stop it. He's gonna cause all the reasons because he's jealous because he wants to cover too. Like, oh, this just got really weird.
Yes, sometimes that's the only thing that, like, it's mostly I notice it more in the Ultimate series, but like and I guess this is sort of always like a slight turnoff compared to Marvel compared to DC, but sometimes they just feel like they try to do something just to make it seem ballsy and extreme and out there and just like cutting edge, and sometimes it's like, you don't need to do that. That's not going to sell any extra issues, really. That's just going to be fucking weird more than anything else.
I know. I just imagine just kind of like some kids, like some total like late 90s kids, like, hey man, did you guys read the new Ultimates? No, bro, what happened? Oh, it is so tight. It was fucking like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver fucking, whoa!
They're like, look at the drawing they did of it too. And it's just fucking like Quicksilver giving thumbs up, looking at the camera, winking. It's just like, it's on the fucking, like, it's the cover of the issue.
What's the cover of the issue?
It says that both of them fucking, and Quicksilver giving thumbs up, looking at the camera, winking.
It's what's popular, kid.
And it just says, brother, sister, action. And it's all bold with, like, exclamation marks and everything.
Picture of, like, a little illustration of Mark Millar in the corner giving thumbs up, like, approved.
Yeah, so sometimes there's, like, things like that that's, like, I don't know, I know it's mostly, like, an Ultimate thing, because in the Ultimates, it's kind of like people get a little bit more creative design. It's like, well, it's not the main series, so if you want to make something really fucking out there, go for it.
Well, talking about Ultimates, I'll give a credit. When someone dies, they fucking die. Once in a while, they might come back. That's barely seem to happen at all. So you got to give it credit for that. Like, if they're dead, chances are they ain't coming back. But that right there, though, that was one of those. Like, plus Captain America, it's more. He's not like he's not so much of a Boy Scout as he is your angry grandpa in the body of like a 29-year-old. You know, so that's kind of like. There are differences they have to it. I mean, I still like the Ultimate stuff, but now looking back on after reading, because Ultimate was my entry to Marvel, so now looking back on like other like normal Marvel stuff, the Ultimate. So a lot of the Ultimate stuff seems kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like
I do love Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man, I do love. That's one of my favorite series. But as far as other series that were in the Ultimate Universe, it's kind of like that's kind of fucking weird. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, there's just some weird stuff in there, but yeah, like at least in Avengers 2 they didn't put that scene in there for them. But I thought they did a good job with those characters, kind of starting them out as like, oh, we fucking hate Iron Man, he's a fucking jerk. Let's join up this robot and kill him. And then to the point where they decided like, oh man, this robot's just gonna kill us all. Let's join the Avengers now. You know, that Iron Man guy doesn't seem so bad anymore.
I will say that now it is kind of easier with like Iron Man, because Iron Man is like, he has such a fucked up past that like, or his company has a fucked up past that it's like, you need someone to go against you? Okay, well, you got a grudge against Iron Man. That's all you really need at this point, you know.
Yeah, you could use that excuse for a long time.
But they will never run out of like villains or like potential kind of like people that start off as villains become good later down the line because Stark Industries. So yeah, I think that's it makes sense right there, because they said like, why are they going against them? I mean, it seems kind of weird that Jewish gypsies team up with Nazis to stop Iron Man, but whatever, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever to get that movie going.
Yeah, but I thought they did a good job there. Yeah, it was kind of weird to have Quicksilver die, but somebody had to die. Because there's always that thing, you can only have so much of a roster, and at some point, either they gotta leave or die.
Even in this movie, it ends with like, nearly most of the Avengers, the only Avengers that are still members by the end of it is Black Widow and Captain America. Everybody else says, yo, I'm out. And what I always assume they're doing, the new team of Avengers at the end of this one is
Falcon.
It's Vision, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, and War Machine. Those are all the new Avengers. And then, which that's cool. I mean, I understand you mix up the roster, but what I'm almost going to assume what they're doing is they're trying to prep people for Civil War. And I almost think that to a certain extent, maybe I'm wrong here. This is just pure speculation. I can't imagine them making Avengers 3 and 4 without having the big guns, because those are going to be the last of this whole. That's going to be like either it's going to end or it's going to reboot after that. Something's going to happen, something big.
I don't know why it's so hard. I know that like people, a lot of times people in the film business, they think it's hard for people to take on somebody else. Like I think they just have this thing. It's like, well, nobody's going to be able to come in and just walk in and just be like, okay, this guy's not Chris Hemsworth, but he's playing Thor, and this guy's not Robert Downey Jr., but he's playing Iron Man. But just have the characters in the movie just. Who cares? Like, make it like 007. In 007, everybody loves Sean Connery, but Roger Moore came in and did a fantastic job.
Well, what I was going to say was actually, I think what they're almost doing is, I think Captain America 3, more than anything, will probably, I mean, this is just speculation. I might be 100% wrong here. I'm also expecting Captain America 3 is more than anything is going to be a sequel to Avengers 2 more than Captain America.
I have a feeling it is too, because kind of just looking at it, once they threw Iron Man in there, they're making it kind of Civil War. I almost feel like, might as well not call it Captain America 3. Might as well just call it Avengers 3. You know what I mean? And just save Captain America 3 for like the search for Bucky. You know what I mean? And just make it like, him by himself without anybody else in it.
Well, I assume what's probably going to happen is this team that gets built up at the end of Avengers 2. I'm guessing they just might. I mean, who knows? Contracts can go south, or this could happen, that could happen. You never know. I'm assuming that's just going to probably be the team for Avengers 3, and then shit's going to go bad in not Avengers 3, and Captain America 3. Shit's going to go bad in Civil War. And that's why maybe right there you're going to have, because Tony Stark, I mean, he's not going to be the main villain, but he's going to be somewhat of an antagonist for Civil War if they go anything off the comic. And from there, I think that's probably where Bucky's going to come back. That's what's going to make it Captain America 3. Because who knows if Steve Rogers is going to die and if Bucky's going to take his spot or not. But I think that whatever happens in Avengers 3, it's probably going to be something big enough to try and bring all the main Avengers back for one more or two more movies. You know, because Avengers 3 and 4 are like the same movie. It's a two-parter. So.
Well, you know, Cap 3 feels like it's going to be kind of like, they're just kind of, they want to do something like a Batman versus Superman thing, where it's just like, let's get Captain America and Iron Man fighting. Apparently that's what everybody seems to want.
I guess it kind of, I mean, I will say something that I did like about this movie is even though they still, like, were shit-talking, it wasn't to the point of just, like, where it was in Avengers. I mean, I know this has to happen, but it was like in Avengers 1, it was just kind of, they walk in a room, everyone just looks each other in the eye, not blinking, fuck you. That almost seems like what everybody kind of did, like their first reaction as soon as meeting everybody, with the exception of Hulk, because no one wants to piss off Hulk, so Hulk's going to go green and kill everybody. But everybody else, it seems like, yo, you're Black Widow? You got tabs on me? Fuck you. What, you're Iron Man? Yeah, I'm Iron Man. What, you're a soldier from World War II? Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you too. You know, everybody kind of went in with that initial attitude. And this one, I mean, you have to have that, but I mean, I thought they kind of overplayed it for a little while in the first one. Mm-hmm. This one, I thought it was actually just kind of perfect. There wasn't really none of that. You can kind of see that they would bust each other's balls a little bit, but they still got along fairly well, and Steve and Tony were joking a little bit like they do in the comics. In the comics, they're good friends. So.
Well, I also like too because it's kind of like when they do get angry at each other, it has like a reason behind it. It's like, dude, why the fuck did you like just let this Ultron thing kind of build itself in the lab and not tell anybody about it?
Yeah, even I.
He's like, well, yeah, I told somebody. I told the Hulk.
I even kind of like this. This is a funny scene, but this is like a really like well placed funny scene. The part after the party when they're all hanging out in the Avengers Tower and they're all trying to take turns trying to lift Thor's hammer, because I do believe that, you know, I think kind of something the Marvel movies are good at doing is they're good at making them. I mean, I want to be careful the way I use this word because I know this word kind of offends you depending on in the context, but relatable. Because I think sometimes people just imagine these superheroes like, oh, they're these all-powerful gods, just like spend their time like fighting crime and jerking off to the thought of justice. You know, where this one I think they did a good job with, oh, just show them hanging out, they're getting drunk. And I think if you did have those kind of powers, you were drunk, like, all right, fuck this, I'm gonna pick up this fucking hammer, so it happens. You know what I mean?
Well, like that's a scene that I think is that's an example of a really good comedic scene. You know. And just the fact that it is sort of that sword in the stone thing where everybody thinks they can do it, but it's, you know, only Thor can. And then later on they have that joke come around that Vision's able to pick it up with no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really too sure exactly how Vision picks it up. Because
I think Vision's a machine.
Yeah, so maybe that since he's a machine. Well, because they have that one thing.Ey're like, if you put it in an elevator and it goes up, you know, like, does that mean the elevator's stronger than us?
Yeah. So that was one of those things, like that scene right there is, I think, a good example. But okay, so they kind of got. I mean, I understand why they were making them so aggressive towards each other in the first one, but this one, I think it is just the right balance of kind of like aggression and them being friendly to one another. You know?
No, yeah, because I just think this movie definitely has just the much better balance between everything. Because if Captain America was kind of like, or Cap 2 was pretty much like the pinnacle of where they kind of ironed everything out, and then Guardians came afterwards, which was all really good. And this one's kind of in that same boat. Maybe I don't think nearly as good as the other two, and probably I don't know, but it is very well balanced, pretty darn good, and yeah, I couldn't really complain too much. As I said, I was glad, and once again, I was just glad to see Hawkeye finally getting some scenes. I mean, they showed that he was a family man. He had a secret hideout house that he didn't want anybody to know about, but then he shows it all to everybody. You know, except for Samuel Jackson always knows where it is.
I thought it was kind of funny. Well, he helped to organize the thing. I thought it was kind of funny though. Once Thor walks in there, this little girl walks up and looks at him. He just looks at the little girl, like, "Fuck this kid." Walks out.
He's like, "Family."
I know that's not what was going through his head, but just for whatever reason, just the look she shoots him, the look he shoots back, it's just this total fuck you too, and he just walks out. I don't know. It's some little things. That was one of those moments where I was like the only one in the theater laughing at that.
I know those are like the best comedic moments too. And then he just kind of walks outside. He's like, "I gotta leave.
I gotta go to the magical mystical pool of exposition."
It's like the one black guy on Asgard. I had a dream about him going crazy.
It's Idris Elba. You got to take everything. They can't just ignore Idris Elba. Idris Elba approaches you in a dream. You better fucking listen.
Exactly. He is the one black man of Asgard. It's like
he is very wise.
he is the only one we have let into our city.
For as advanced as we are, there's some things culturally we're a little behind on. But Idris Elba, he's kind of our Denzel. Everyone accepts him,
Yeah, but they almost don't even think he's black. They just kind of think he's one of us, Not a racist thing. It's just he's Asgardian, Everybody's looking at him like, no, we don't know, but carry on.
They're like, well, they do reign from the Aryans, so there's that.
Yeah, it's like, the Nazis were that's kind of the downfall. The only thing that downfall a lot of Norse things is that like say if you were to get like a Norse tattoo, there's a chance that you could be associated now with being like a neo-Nazi, and it's like, what? That is fucking
head or whatever. Yeah.
I'm like, that is fucking retarded. That is bullshit. It's like, what I mean? Like, well, the same thing could be said if you're a Christian too, because you know how many of those guys are all like heavily Christian, like Ku Klux Klan and stuff. So, I think the
only thing is blatantly kind of like, all right, you might want to like fill in the blanks on that shit. It's a swastika. The other, no, it's the Tibet symbol for
peace.
Yeah, just no, fill in the blanks, make it a diamond. No one will care,
Yeah. The swastika is one of those ones. It's kind of hard to turn that car around now. It's kind of
other Norse shit. Yeah, I think you got to explain. If somebody sees like a Norse tattoo and somebody goes like, oh, well, that links to this, that links to that, which leads to this over here, and that leads to a swastika, which leads to Nazis. Like, all right, motherfucker, you had to go on Google all night to put those connections together.
Yeah, that by the same standard, that's like if you had a cross on your back, you could link somebody up to a Ku Klux Klan member. It might have nothing to do with it, but you could. So.
It's it's just a capital T.
For time to leave.
I'm not fucking here today. Lowercase T. Yeah, I love that. Like in South Park, like it's a lowercase T for time to go.
On the next one, we'll put a capital T there to make sure they know we're serious.
That's a damn good episode.
Oh, it's one of my favorite ones. Well, you want to kind of stray away from Avengers 2 for a bit?
Sure, what do you want to talk about now?
We're going to take a quick break right here. But now a word from our buddies at Paint It Black Podcast. Take a listen.
The show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls. A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional? I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door. Right?
Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit?
No, Barney. We're not friends like that. You better go stay with the zoo.
Yeah. Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife.
Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer? No Jews. That's the primary difference.
Yeah. I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was the fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had those stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those Santos order the pizza?
I want stink bug.
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh, yeah. How do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song for Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot.
Whoa, it's smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke.
Well, apparently there's a new Dragon Ball Z anime coming out in July.
On Twitter. Actually, first off, speaking of Twitter, before we go off on that, did you see the thing? Somebody that we both follow that follows us back retweeted it. I didn't. I sent you a personal message. Did you see the thing I tweeted you?
I am not sure.
Okay. Do you got your cell phone? If you don't have it, we won't hold up the podcast time. Do you got your cell phone on you? Do you got reception up there right now?
I do. I am screwed.
Okay. See what I sent you. I just want to get your gut reaction to this image.
Where the butt?
I should have just texted you the image rather than tweeted.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't see it. Maybe because it didn't come up as. Where the?
But yeah, no. It's also anime related, so kind of anime related.
Is it that supernerdpages.com?
Yeah.
Oh, the Joker image?
No. Okay, no.
Okay, maybe I didn't get it. I was gonna say like.
Maybe they changed the thing. There was this say "Holy fuck, dude." Did it say that? Hope they didn't change the link.
I don't know. That was the only one I have.
Oh, that's fucking weird. Anyway, no, there's one where there's like some kind of Japanese theme park and there's like a Pokemon section or something.
Oh my gosh! Is it?
You got it? Is it there?
No, but that just sounded amazing. Keep going.
Oh no, it gets more amazing. It gets more amazing. There's this giant inflatable Pikachu, and I don't know what the fuck's inside of it. But the opening, I don't know if it's like he's holding a Pokeball, but it looks like he's spreading his fucking badge open for kids to crawl inside of and bounce around it.
That sounds amazing. Why is that not the first thing to come up when I type in Pokemon theme park?
I don't know.
Well, probably
I
for.
don't theme park or just a little attraction. It just looked like it was all in Japanese writing. I just saw a couple of like statues of Pokemon stuff around this big inflatable Pikachu that was like spreading its badge open for like kids to wander inside of, like Narnia.
That is creepy, yet I want to go there.
He wants the Pika badge.
Just the idea of a Pokemon theme park just sounds amazing.
It's shocking. Da-da-da-da-da.
But yeah, no, there's a new Dragon Ball Z series coming out. Yeah, I think in July it comes out in Japan. So that means we probably won't get it for like another year or so, but.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to take place after season 9 of Dragon Ball Z. So once again, the GT is kind of like that mysterious other series.
I'm wondering if they're just trying to like pretend like GT never happened.
Well, I don't know, because you think about like the Battle of the Gods movie takes place like after season 9, but before GT if we're still counting that in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know that one was the one that didn't have Akira Toriyama or whatever attached to it.
I thought he was attached.
But
I think he like maybe I'm wrong here. I think he did like the concept drawing for Beerus, the villain.
Oh no! Not Battle of the Gods, but GT.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think GT. I don't even know if he was producer on it. Like he must have been producer on it. I can't match it because I'll say this. I looked at the back of the Dragon Ball, the live action movie. This is the sad part about that movie. He's the executive producer on it.
Are you talking Evolution, or are you talking like
not the Chinese one, the American one?
Well, I even heard in the thing like he was like producer on it, but just because it's kind of like the same way Stan Lee's partway considered producer on like the Marvel films. Well, he created the character.
Well, he probably goes like this. He's like I know my shit sells.
I heard. Yeah, exactly. I heard that. Maybe I'm wrong here, and I'm hoping what I read was right. But I heard that like they approached him about the movie, and he says, "Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, totally." And then they just kind of never really got back to him. He's like, "Oh, it's done." I'm like, wait, what? Oh, this is some bullshit.
Well, as long as I get my paycheck, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, he's kind of like these. I already got all these other people happy. If some stupid American likes his bullshit, then okay, whatever.
But what was I saying here? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, but yeah, that Dragon Ball one, I think he's going to be a part of it, and it's going to take place. It sounds like it's just going to be like season 10 of Dragon Ball Z when you really break it down. But it's been 18 years since GT ended, so that's how long Dragon Ball Z's been off.
I don't want to think about that.
Does that make you feel fucking old? Okay, 18 years since GT ended, not Z, not Dragon Ball, GT.
Yeah.
97 is when it ended. I mean, now in America, we didn't get GT till like, early 2000s, if not later than that even.
Batman the animated series, I believe, is 25 years old by this point.
Well, that would have ended about the same time too, 97 or so?
Yeah.
98?
Yeah.
So
I'm just going by the time when it came out, and that's like 20 or 25 years old by this point. Jesus.
Yeah, because that'd be 92 when it came out. Holy crap! I know. Sometimes I don't like when I see these milestones of things. It's like Pokemon. Pokemon is on its 20th year anniversary if you count the Japanese release.
Yeah, that's where it's like, oh,
Holy
really?
fuck! Yeah, I know that just makes me feel so old when I think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But so sweet, more Dragon Ball. I can't really complain because when it comes down to it, Dragon Ball. There's always those kind of periods in time where you go like, I know it's one of the more popular animes, so there's always that thing, kind of like did you feel like you were liking the sort of like the somewhat generic? I don't mean like generic in a bad way, but kind of like the one that everybody likes. It's like in Steven Spielberg movies, you kind of go, well, that's the director that everybody knows. Should I back away from it? And then at some point in life you go, no, Steven Spielberg is an amazing director, and I'm gonna put him on the top of my list, and I don't care because I think he's that good. And it's kind of like what Dragon Ball Z is. It's like, no, Dragon Ball Z is an amazing show, and there's a reason why a lot of people like it, and it's gonna be on the top of my list.
No, yeah, here's the thing with me in Dragon Ball. I'm not saying you're wrong there. I'm definitely going to check it out. I do think, though, for me personally, because I watched some of the other episodes a little while, some of the original Dragon Ball Z episodes a while, like some of the Frieza saga as well as some of the Cell saga. And I think that, I love that show. But I think it definitely is a show that you had to grow up with it. And even though I'm going to check the show out and I'm probably going to like it, I can't imagine a whole lot of other people who don't already like it being into it. Because it is one of those things, I think you just had to grow up with it. Even if you like anime and you didn't grow up with Dragon Ball Z, it's still one that it's like, well, did you know who these characters are? I think that it's one of those things that so many other things have pulled and taken from Dragon Ball Z. Maybe they're not as good as Dragon Ball Z, but they pull and take it from us. They've seen enough elements, like, I've seen this before, but it's just kind of older and characters I don't really care or recognize. You know what I mean?
I guess. I don't know. I think Dragon Ball still holds.
I'm not trying to shit its mouth, because I do love the show. I do, and I'm looking forward to seeing this. But I think it's going to be more just kind of for the fans, the people that already like it, which is fine with me.
Which is a humongous audience as is, but because those Dragon Ball Z games still sell really well. Like all the kind of post Dragon Ball TV show stuff that they made. It's amazing to think that Dragon Ball Z, for as old as it is, kind of. We're talking about a show from the 80s that still, think about how many other shows from the 80s still have people fucking watching them like crazy. You know what I mean?
In all honesty, I'll cut you off. Go ahead.
Really, think about it. Other shows I'm thinking from the 80s do not carry that popularity. You don't see people watching Transformers all the time. You don't see people watching G.I. Joe or fucking Captain Planet like it's going out of style.
I will say something about Dragon Ball Z. Maybe it was just the timing. They just had perfect timing. We don't live in Japan, so I don't know how big it still is over there. But here's an example right here. Like Star Wars, when you think about it, it came out, it had its audience. And then they re-released it to our generation. And we got it. You could have already watched it on TV or video or whatever.
Because, Star Wars, I was watching it on VHS, way before the re-releases came out, so,
Well, I knew of Star Wars, but it was actually, I knew of Star Wars. Okay, yeah, I know of it. I know that they have laser swords and all that. But it wasn't until, it wasn't until I was, in the third grade, or second grade maybe, and taking to see it in theaters until I was really wow. You know what I mean? So I really sat down and was like, I'm sure it's cool, but it's old,
Huh,
and
see, because...
we didn't have it on VHS, so it was whenever it came on TV, and I just remember parts from it. But then I actually went to theaters and saw the movie, and then full-on fell in love with it, seeing it on the big screen in order, the way it's meant to be seen. So then, I think something like Dragon Ball Z, maybe it's just the timing, because there was a show that came out in the 80s, brought to America...
in the mid-90s.
And it spanned from, mid-90s, it was a long series, spanned from mid-90s all the way to the early 2000s. And we haven't had anything Dragon Ball Z related in a while, so I think now it's I guess now would be the time to kind of they started doing the Kai series, which is everything summed up and re-released on television and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the Kai series, it's sort of made for it's made for modern kids, because it sounds like a good idea on paper, oh, okay, cut all the filler, but then I bought the first season of Kai and I was like, well, they cut out a lot of the good stuff. I like some of those side quests, and I like the part when Goku's on Snake Way and he falls off and he has all these kind of miscellaneous little adventures.
Like, I like that because that's what made Snake Way feel like it was really fucking long. And Kai, Snake Way is like 2 episodes long. It feels like, it just feels like he just like, took a nice strolling jog and was able to finish it off.
In Kai, don't they like remaster it or anything like that? They like change the imagery, they make it look cleaner, smoother, or something like that.
They might. I didn't really notice it too much. The number one thing they really just do is they just edit it so it's like really like smooth, like almost like, I don't know, almost like if you're gonna make like a Dragon Ball Z movie, even though I know it's still in episodes, they kind of, that's what it sort of feels like. Okay, let's say this. Like the Raditz, that takes like 9 episodes, I think, from like the very first episode to the end of Raditz. It's all summed up in 3 episodes instead.
I think right there, like Dragon Ball, I do think some editing is needed. Like, I think like season 3, air quotes, season 3, could just be like, maybe 5 or 6 episodes,
Well, this is where I think that like this is what you do to be the ultimate Dragon Ball Z like collection is you get the season 1 and 2 on the regular versions. But for season 3, you get the Kai version, because when it comes to those kind of ones where it's just way too much battles, where they're literally waiting for Akira to finish the books, that's when you need the Kai version to really sum it up.
And then the same thing with season 5 for like the Cell Saga.
Yeah, season 5 and 6 definitely need that too.
Mm-hmm. But I think that it's because I think I'm seeing a little bit like the kind of George Lucas thing. That's the point of just kind of like re-release the same thing and charge a bunch of money and anything like that. But I mean, I see it more to the extent of like just kind of like trying to plot it out, try and make a new audience off this thing. It's not just George Lucas, but I think that's just the best example right there. So, I mean, hopefully it's really good. If he's involved, then I am interested. I'm kind of, because I did like Battle of the Gods, but once again, that's one of those movies that you have to like Dragon Ball Z to show someone this movie. But I will say I saw a really funny meme about maybe like a year ago. And it said, like, it was just, like, two sections. It was, like, boys, girls. It shows, like, a couple little girls sitting in front of a TV watching My Little Ponies. You see a little boy sitting in front of, like, TV watching Dragon Ball Z. Then it says, like, teenagers. And it shows, like, a couple of, like, teenage girls sitting there watching, like, I don't know, some
C-dub show or something.
What?
Some C-dub show or something like that.
Yeah. And then, or like, like High School Musical. Then it shows the guy, again, teenagers guy, watching Dragon Ball Z. And then it cuts down to like, adulthood. And it shows like a girl watching something like
Law and Order or something.
Something like that. Because the guy, he's still watching Dragon Ball Z.
And it's totally true because like that Dragon Ball like fan basis, it's like, it's amazing how strong it is and how like certain people that you would never think would be like into the animes and whatnot, but they like full on fucking love Dragon Ball Z still. And
I was really surprised one time. There's this one guy that went to the gym. I mean, you knew him better than I did, but he was a total kind of like broy, like, yeah, man, let's go get some chicks tonight. Let's go get some numbers and get some fucking puss, bro. He's one of those kind of guys. And then at one point in the day, he came to the gym like, man, I'm so ready to bump some iron. Like, oh, he didn't see. I mean, I was cool with him. He wasn't really a guy I'd hang out with, but I was cool with him. He says, yeah, man, I just got done watching like season 4 of Dragon Ball Z. I'm fucking pumped. It's like, well, what? Like, yeah, man, I love that episode. Fucking like Goku like gets the spirit bomb ready and drops that shit down. I'm like, fucking Cheetah, man, it's just fucking random. It's like one of the last people you expect to like this shit,
No, and he loved the hell out of it, and that's what I think. That's the thing about Dragon Ball. It has such a strong audience where that like, I think that people about our age, maybe a tad bit older, it'll be a show that we'll watch till the day we die. Like, I don't think it's ever gonna like kind of go away. Like in that sense, I think it has a very lasting effect. Where some things people grow out of, not Dragon Ball. I just don't think it's something that people really grow out of that much.
Yeah, I hope this show's really good. Since like they aren't waiting on any graphic novels to be made, hopefully they're just able to crank these things out. We don't have like a season-long battle or anything like that. But
yeah, and I know the reason why those seasons were so long is because they were actually for once doing the smart thing of waiting for the material to come along instead of like taking the first 2 books and going, okay, we'll just make up the rest from here.
Like
Hellsing.
How they created incognito instead of going with like Nazi vampires.
Yeah, Hellsing, and then also they did that with Full Metal Alchemist and so on.
I gotta finish Brotherhood. I'm kind of like halfway through Brotherhood right now, and I gotta say that, like, right now I enjoy it, but just the first half so far is just kind of like the shortened, kind of half-assed version of what I already saw. And I guess if you haven't seen the other one or haven't read the comics or the manga, I guess it makes sense. But as someone who's already seen all that stuff, it's kind of like Amazing Spider-Man. I fucking know. Get to the shit I haven't seen, but you're afraid to skip it because there might be some little
thing.
There might be some little detail they added to it, like the very first 2 episodes. Like the first episode is like, oh, this like fire, steam, ice alchemist, whatever. Oh wow, that guy's new. Oh, this is new. They get you with the first episode, and the whole time thinking they're gonna give me something new. They're gonna give me something new. Nothing new yet. It's the same shit I've fucking seen a bunch of times, just kind of waiting for it to get the new shit already.
Yeah, it definitely does that right there. But another thing going on in the world right now, apparently GameStop's on its way of declining, sort of. Their numbers are going down. This is a good...
That makes you happy.
Makes me happy because I don't like GameStop. It's one of those places, like, I go there because... Once again, in modern world, we don't have as many choices. You think that being in America, we'd have more choices at the moment, but kind of due to, capitalism, industrial growth, businesses taking over, corporate businesses and so on, we have less choices because we don't get our tons of different mom and pop shops to choose from. We get Walmart and GameStop, and that's about it.
Can I ask you a semi-personal question, and you can, edit this out if you want?
Yes.
How many times do you jerk off reading this story?
None. Actually, that didn't come across me. I just got really excited. Well, I'll tell you this.
I just imagine you just like, yes.
Yeah, you fucking die, boy.
Every time we go into GameStop, you walk out of there like, motherfuckers, man. I fucking hate these people. Every single time. There's never a time, even when you get a game you wanted, there's never a time we walk out of GameStop and you were happy. So this right here seems like something like, this seems kind of like, almost like the thunder god is smiling down upon me,
Well, yeah, and GameStop was once.
I know you pray to Odin.
You think about it, you go, okay, going to a video game store should be the most joyous experience there is, just about. Now, that sounds like a weird thing to any old person, but literally, I used to look so forward to going to the local game stores, like Pro Game Exchange and Players Kingdom here in town, and all the ones that they had throughout California and stuff like that. Whenever I saw a local game store, it was the most magical place I can imagine. GameStop takes all that magic and fun and puts a corporate label on it and makes you not even want to go in there and buy games. I'll tell you this, I buy most of my video games from Walmart because I would rather go there instead of GameStop. It's just one of those...
Walmart's a bigger evil, but you hate...
I know Walmart's a bigger evil, but when it comes down to straight video games, nobody hassles me in Walmart when I go to buy a game. They're much more friendlier, and I don't have to deal with the GameStop crap.
I noticed that, today what happened, because I guess Marley's not calling back on. That's too bad. We'll get him on again eventually. But today, me and him were kind of hanging out in the city for a while. I had some stuff to do. So in time, he just went to the Giants game to go kind of hang out while I took care of some stuff in town. And
that just rephrase that. That just sounds like, what are you doing? Well, I'm gonna kill some time. I'm going to the Giants game. Just gonna kind of kick it for a bit, nothing big.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just one of those things. Look, I got some shit I gotta take care of. So you just go here's $10, go to the movies. I don't fucking know. It wasn't even that. But it's just I'm just gonna go to the Giants game because he's a big sports fanatic. But yeah, it just sounds shady when I say I went to go I had some shit I had to go take care of. I basically went on this small little date kind of thing. So just had to clarify that because I realized that even sounds more shady. I had stuff.
I have stuff to do. You can't come.
She doesn't know I'm on a podcast yet, and I don't really want to I think other times I started dating somebody, the podcast comes up, and I got all this proof of me being a dumbass, saying stupid shit.
Recorded for the world to see or hear.
And one time she's like, yeah, well, I turned on an episode, and I don't know, it's the first one that came up, and within 7 minutes, you guys are talking about which if you had to suck a dick, whose dick would you suck? You said Batman, and for like, you're talking into reasons of why and which Batman. Like, yeah, it's just kind of our things we do. You talk about like how you want to suck Batman's dick. No, but it's just our humor, you know. So
I remember somebody once that they're like, "Oh, I was listening to that Tom Morello one you guys did," and they're just like, "Man, the whole like first 10 minutes was you guys just like literally talking about sucking his dick and that wouldn't be a gay thing." And it was just like, "Oh yeah, that is how that episode started out."
It was that episode, because one of the things we had in common was we both liked Tom Morello a lot. So she said, "Oh, the podcast, a Tom Morello episode," and that's as far as she got. So, but no, I haven't I told her about the podcast. I'm just gonna try and hide that, like it's a dirty fucking secret, and then just kind of Walter White my way out of it, Eventually, that's all gonna come tumbling down. It's like this dark secret I have. But no, anyway, so basically, I went to go kind of on this small date with this girl, and Marley went to the game. And before that, though, before we departed, I met up with her, and we were just kind of like walking around. I don't know how I got all the way over here. Anyway, but we were walking around, and we stopped at the Gamestop here. And the Gamestop's like a 2-floor Gamestop. And when you say like a 2-floor video game store, it sounds magical. It sounds wonderful. But then when you actually go inside this one, it is so just like, hey, welcome again. Sorry, I forgot want to pre-order the new 186 Honored. No, I'm good. Thank you. Whatever the fuck that game is. The 108, the order, whatever.
Yeah, the one exclusive game for PS4 right now.
Yeah, 1806 or I don't know what the fuck it was, but yeah. I was like, no, I'm good. Like, okay, question over here, just sentence. Because they almost kind of peter out before they get a chance to finish their sentences. And then we just kind of walked around. I just walked around. There's this whole wall of all these video game knickknacks and figurines and stuff. Walk over here to all these different games. Just kind of walked around. I just remember I was just kind of thinking to myself maybe because I'm older, but there was a time this would have been magical to me. This would have been so amazing. And maybe I'm just going to be a little bit more used to it now, but just walking around just here's this video game I might get someday. Maybe it's a little cheaper. I don't care. Here's this stuff. Now I'm just is it GameStop or is it just me? Am I just becoming that much more jaded?
I bet you it's just GameStop, because I'll tell you this, I got that magical feeling not too long ago. When I was in Lodi, there was a kind of another game store there called Gamers Etc. And it had a bunch of retro games and kind of different things and everything pretty much not GameStop. And you could go in there and you could play a brand new game if you wanted. They let you try it out for 30 minutes or something like that, which I'm like, that's a cool feature. They had a bunch of TVs and chairs and couches. You could sit around and play games. That one gave me kind of the feeling once again of okay, this is what I remember of why game stores were really cool.
I remember Funko Land. I remember you could walk into a Funko Land that kids, those are Google or Bing, whichever you prefer. Funko Land was one where the store could not even be well updated. It could just be kind of stuff's not, it was all pretty much managed by 18-year-olds, really, when you probably think back on it. But you were 12, so
they were it was managed by adults, by your opinion.
What?
when you're 12, it was by 18, meaning that they were old adults.
Yeah, exactly. So and you just you go to a Funko Land and things would not really be all hung up properly, not really all that well categorized, but there's still something really just fucking cool about going in there and seeing oh my god, they got all these old games, they got all these new games. Then you go over to GameStop, and even though everything's well organized, it's all where it should be, and some of the stuff is decently priced, but you're still just kind of fuck you. I don't know what it is, just kind of get that.
Well, here, let me explain where that story for that GameStop is actually going to, because I really I didn't even touch really what it's all about. So since GameStop's losing money due mainly to the fact that there's so much digital buying nowadays, their new thing is they're going to go back and start selling retro games and systems once again.
Oh.
So it's like a double whammy thing. It's kind of well, that's kind of cool because I could actually go back and buy a Genesis game or something like that, but it's at GameStop and they're probably going to charge a ridiculous price for a lot of these items, and it's gonna take all that magic out of retro game buying anyways.
Are they going to be in that tacky plastic Ziploc bag that has little holes to hang up on the rack? You think they're gonna do that?
I just hope they don't put the stickers on the fucking carts, because we all know those stickers are hard as hell to get off, and if you put a sticker on a goddamn case, bring down the price because you have tainted it. Because those, unless you get that game like the day one they put that sticker on there, they're always so freaking difficult to get like that residue off. So that's my own thing. I hope they're not dumb and put stickers on carts. I hope they do put them in the bags, so at least that's not an issue. But I think that's what they used to do when they sold regular Nintendo games and stuff like that back in the day.
Yeah. I think that I don't really know if that's going to help. I think GameStop is just getting desperate, and I really don't know if that is going to help their sales. It might get them like a particular like audience, but I really don't think, because there are retro gamers. But no, honestly, I think this day and age, most retro gamers, not all, but most probably just have them on emulators or their computer or something.
That's what I mean. The only people that like generally retro gaming really appeals to are either purists who want to play the game on the original system on like a CRTV, like no fucking plasmas or anything like that. They want that. They want the experience of fucking 1987 all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that, or the collectors. Those are the only two people that it really appeals to. And knowing GameStop, because like what they want is they want people to be trading in their shit, and they're gonna either like, you know, repair old Genesis and Nintendos and 64s and so on. But GameStop's never been known as a place to go buy collector's items because their stuff is mostly always missing the manuals and missing the boxes and has stickers on them and so on. So I don't think it's gonna appeal. I mean, yeah, there might be some guy out there who says like, hey, yeah, I'd love to have like another regular Nintendo and get my favorite games. Look at me, Zelda and Castlevania and Mega Man and Mario and so on. But once again, though, I mean, if you got a Wii U or a DS or even just a Wii, I mean, for the average Joe, you could just download them on there and probably call it good. So it is a weird audience, you know, to try to pick up, to try to make an extra buck. I'm just more glad to hear that, like, by doing this desperate attempt, that means that they are pretty close to the end. Which, I mean, I knew they were. I really don't think GameStop has 10 years left in them at all. I think they'll be all gone maybe in 5 years.
I think that's kind of what happens. When you go by, I'm not trying to, well, I guess we'll find out in time. But, I mean, usually in most situations, when you have that kind of cutthroat business attitude, like, fuck you, where else are you going to go? You might be riding high for a while, but eventually I think that's going to catch up with you. And, I mean, maybe it'll be generations and years before it catches up with you, and there probably are exceptions, but I think most situations that's what kind of happens. That's what happened with Blockbuster. Blockbuster put all these mom and pop companies out of business, and then what's this magical thing? Streaming, you know. So then, and plus they also get all that type of bullshit, like the drop fees have reached that point where it's like $100 or whatever for drop fees, or like late fees. So try and charge people more than what the movie was actually fucking worth.
Yeah.
So I think that GameStop is trying to I think that they were using some of those kind of tactics just because. Well, I think they're trying to I think they were too forceful. I think it's like, hey, we're some of the gamers. Hey, gamer, what do you like? What do you want to do? What do you want to play, gamer? What do you want to play, gamer? Gamer, come over here. We'll pre-order you this. What, you're not gonna order it? You're not a real gamer. You're a fucking pussy. You know, I think that whole thing, A, was one of the biggest problems, and B, I think they just kind of reached this point where that some things were kind of ridiculously overpriced, and they just had this attitude about, well, where else are you gonna fucking get it? Because Walmart's a little bit down the road, and there are no more independent gamers.
Yeah,
gaming stores. I should say gaming stores.
And I think that's that thing. It's like whenever a company starts to get the monopoly, I'm glad to see when they finally fail, and it's just like, bury yourself with everyone else you've killed. Because I always think about Blockbuster. I think so many times I go, how many people's lives were destroyed because of that company. That company took out. I mean, I just think of in every small town area that a Blockbuster was put, they killed at least 10 plus family businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that same thing with GameStop did the same thing too, maybe a little bit less. Every GameStop probably killed about 2 or 3 family businesses.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so on. So it's just like, we all know Walmart, the greatest evil of all, just about, is killed.
When I went to, I cut you off, go ahead.
I would say, that one's killed even more family businesses, but as I said, like the only reason I go to if I'm gonna buy a game, I a lot of times just go to Walmart. Is just they don't give me any crap when I go there. They don't try to make me. Nobody at Walmart makes me want to pre-order anything. They never try to sell me something else I don't want. They just go, oh, you want this game? Sure, here you go. Okay, let's take you to the
Sometimes
register.
what you got to do is, I'm not even, I mean, I just don't have it in me to be like, fuck off a lot of the time, but I'll sometimes say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, but something I do now, when they do that to me, is I almost try to match their enthusiasm very falsely to a sense that like kind of scares them and tries to get them out, it's like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm doing good, how are you? Like, oh, are you looking for anything? No, I'm just looking around. Well, have you been playing this game? Like, yeah, I've been playing this game. What about you? You just start kind of asking them, trying to outdo their false enthusiasm, and they kind of get the hint and they walk away.
Yeah, that's one way to go about it for sure.
I mean, I know that it seems kind of a little bit more like, now I'm thinking about it, that seems kind of like sadistic and kind of cruel. Kind of like, I don't want to do this. They tell me to do it. They tell me to dance, so I dance. But, I don't. They pull like the lever, and I just go down into like the Gamestop pit where we don't see these employees again, But I would actually just do that. I would just be very kind of like false sincerity and just like, hey, how are you doing? Like right back at them, and it worked. It was like you don't do it to like everybody, but it's when the ones just don't go away. The ones that really they really got to make that fucking quota. It's like that's okay. I'm pulling this card.
Exactly. Every once in a while, it's like that. Like I just got to the point sometimes when people would annoy me. Either one, I've walked up to a GameStop, looked inside, and went, nope, I don't want to be bothered, and just turned around. Like that's how much it turned me away from it. And two, like sometimes when they do come to me, it's just like I get stern and be like, nope, I don't need any help. It's like one of those ones like if I need fucking help, I'll ask you. Don't ask me first. I hate that business style. You know what I mean? It's just like you go stand over there and do whatever it is you do, and don't bother me none. Like. You know what I mean? I'm not some fucking mother here looking for a present for their kid. I'm like, clearly you can tell that I know what I'm doing. Do not talk down to me, whatever you do. See, that's the one thing. At Walmart, nobody talks down to you. I mean, I don't want to sell Walmart better than GameStop, but when we only have like 2 choices in the world, and sometimes 3 if you got a Target, it's like, it's just like, I like just not having to be like I can go buy a game and I don't feel like any of this, like, it sounds so dumb, but like pressure or these people talking down to me or just something that's going to change my, whole like view of my day. Like almost like GameStop brings me down. It's such a weird thing. Yeah, as I said, but like as a kid, those like mom and pop stores, the most magical places in the world. You would go there and the people they'd have their feet kicked up on the counter, they'd be watching TV, they were so laid back that it made you feel comfortable being in there. At GameStop, they got their fucking little suits on and they're always standing and nobody's sitting there and they always have these like they have like these kind of like The Man Who Laughs. That's the movie that Joker's based was inspired by. They have like these surgically placed grins. So they're always smiling. They can't not smile. Exactly. That's how it is. It reminds me of something like that. It's so fake and phony and nothing's real about it. And I don't like that. I remember one time we went in there and it was like when they released Super Mario All-Stars for the Wii. Like if you pre-ordered some particular Mario game, you got Mario All-Stars for the Wii. And you were in like the lady, this one lady that you really don't like goes there. I don't really like her that much either. And she's one of those ones that was just like, I don't know if she still works there, but she was one of those ones that definitely had like that kind of like talk down to you kind of thing. And she said something like, yeah, this has the original 4 Mario games as well as the ones, as well as like the Lost Levels, which were never previously released in America. Then you said, actually no, those were released before, and the other one, like, no, these are. She had like this kind of like very condescending smile, like, well, no, these were just recently released to this today. And it's like, I was like, whoa. One, don't talk down to me. Just because you work here doesn't mean that you are a true gamer and you know what's going on. I'm like, fucking A, I was playing these games on Super Nintendo when it was released originally. The Lost Levels is not a new game. As well as Game Boy Color when they re-released it again when you bought Super Mario Brothers original for the game. Yeah, the deluxe one. They had, if you could unlock the Lost Levels on there, and then it was also on. I think you could download it on the Wii at that point too. So. And then you didn't say it like that. You're like, no. I put it on that. She just, I don't remember. Like she said something else, and then later we just kind of walked out. We didn't walk out with anything. I think it pre-ordered like Zelda or something, and we walked out. And then
we got tacos down the road, and you're just sitting there brooding over this taco. It's you, me, and Cisco. You're just sitting there brooding, like, I don't know what. Me and Cisco were talking about something. You're just sitting there chewing on this taco, like, what is it? Like, you're like, that fucking bitch. Like, she's fucking telling me I don't know my fucking Mario. I know my fucking Mario. I played that game. You're literally not even looking at us. You're like looking down as if you're talking to somebody else. You're like pointing at the table. Like, I told that bitch, I played that fucking game when it came out. I know my fucking Mario. Like, I've never seen you that like tense.
It made me so angry. I just that's something I just hate. I hate that talk down thing. I mean, I will say that GameStop, I think for getting so much flack over the years, like when you go in there now, there's not nearly as much like peer pressure, and they don't talk down to you as much. I think somebody finally did say up at fucking GameStop Tower back east, somebody finally did break down and go, yo, we gotta like calm down a bit. Apparently, people don't like being upselled. It's like, duh, nobody likes fucking upselling. Upselling is a cheap tactic to try to get dumb people to buy shit.
Yeah, it was. Someone had to tell Mr. GameStop, and he had to like take off his monocle and double check the sales and stocks of the GameStop. Like, oh shit, I guess talking like they're fucking idiots isn't helping.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just glad to see the demise of GameStop. I mean, we're coming to an age where you probably won't go to the store like really anymore, except for maybe like a grocery store. You know.
What about this though? What here? I give you a horrible ultimatum. What if like this is kind of like we think like okay, it's just starting to wind down. This is a good thing. What if GameStop goes to Walmart and says like, hey, look, I know we have history, but let's put that aside and we can do good together, or in their case, do evil. And they they just make the video game section of their Walmart
a GameStop.
Kind of like how when you went to Hollywood Records, or not Hollywood Records, Hollywood Video, you may remember that one. Hollywood Video, they'd have Game Crazy in the corner, and that was kind of like their hey, this is their like solution to GameStop and Funko Land. So.
Yeah, and that was kind of like the better GameStop if you had to have a corporate one.
Well, you know those bright green. I want to say the wall looked like it had like paint splatters, so you know it was wild.
Yeah, it was very like 90s, even though it didn't come out in the 90s.
And then they had like all the racks were, I don't know what this sticks out to me. I remember it was a lot of black and green, and to have like this paint splatter against like some of the like designs on the wall, and then like cut out the video game characters, and it didn't suddenly feel kind of like, whoa, you're Game Crazy, bro, come on in, it had that kind of vibe to it. Like I almost felt like when you walk in, you could have been led by like some stereotypical '90s kid giving you the tour of the store.
It literally could have. That
store could have been the greeter at the door.
It could have been. That was the much better version. But strange enough, probably not at Walmart, but like, okay, perfect example of something that's similar to that is, I think it's at CVS. I don't think it's Rite Aid, but one of those pharmacy stores. Sometimes they'll have like a GNC built into them, like a little mini version of it that's kind of like just there for like your supplements.
Like Starbucks at Target or something.
Yeah, like the Starbucks at Target and like Safeway and whatnot. So it's not like it's not there, but I think Walmart's still powerful enough that they're not going to allow somebody else's business in there, for that part at least. But that would suck. Then I'd have to. By that point, I'd probably just be buying stuff off Amazon and Amazon only. It'd be like the only downfall to Amazon though is like say like a game comes out like today, you can't go down. You can't go down to the Amazon and pick it up. You got to like wait a couple days.
We'll give it 10 years. We'll have the Amazon drones just like drop shit on our doorstep.
Yeah, but like that one, I think is only gonna work if you like live next to an Amazon plant.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. I mean, I say 10 years, maybe like 20, but I'm sure we'll get there to a point where a little robot just spits out whatever you want at a certain fee, and then once in a while they'll probably go on a murder spasm or crash down into a school bus, and then
if for some reason it'll explode in like a ginormous explosion that.
Yeah, and then we have this big outcry on the news like, should we be doing this? But then at the end of the day, like, I don't know, this is wrong. Like, this is progress. It happens, sometimes bus full of kids gotta die if we want to shit cheap and fast,
Exactly. It's like, yeah, do you want to wait those extra couple shipping days? No, not really. Then exactly. Then sacrifices must be made.
Yeah. Shit, you signed it. You don't care.
But, well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up at. Make sure to go out and check out oldmanorange.com. Leave us some reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, and any of those other podcast sites we might be on. You can find me at Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes. You can find Dunigan at
Dunigan Ryan.
on the Twitter. And, well, until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or Gamestop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange podcast.
You know, I really wish, I just kind of forgot to talk about, we didn't talk about how the lack of, like, Stinger in like Avengers, and I think we could have gone places with that, but whatever.
Which part?
How there is no Stinger at the end.
Oh, well, there was like the Thanos, even though we kind of knew that was coming already.
Thanos, that was bullshit. The whole Thanos thing with the Infinity Gauntlet was bullshit. We knew that was coming. Like, oh, there's the golden boxing glove. Oh, I wonder what that's gonna be. That was just kind of like, that's it. Okay, whatever.
Well, it's kind of like Avengers 1 was sort of like that kind of letdown too. They didn't really have anything afterwards that was like for what's coming next.
That was they had Thanos for the mid-credit scene. That one was like, oh fuck, it's Thanos. That's something I wanted to say because for a while, maybe I'll say this in another podcast. But for a while,
Yeah, you just put this at the tail end of the podcast.
Okay, well,
Keep going.
for a while it seemed like every Marvel stinger was kind of like, oh, get ready for some shit. Here's what's happening in the next movie. You know, every single one was kind of like that. Like even Iron Man 2 was like fucking Thor, and and then I want to say Thor was like fucking Captain America. That's the fucking Chaos Cube or whatever the fuck it is. Every one was just one of those ones where just trying to build up, and then when you got to Avengers, it's like, well, ain't nothing to build up anymore. So here's them eating shawarma. But you still had Thanos in the mid-credit scene where it's like, oh fuck, they're gonna do Infinity Gauntlet. Oh my god. And then, but now it's just even in Phase 2, with the exception of the Captain America one, everything in Phase 2 was just kind of like, oh, there that was.
Yeah, I will say they definitely got much lazier about it until, and it's like, and that was sort of the big thing about all those Marvel movies for the longest time is you had to wait till after the credits, and now they stopped kind of doing the after the credits thing. They'll do the little teaser at the very beginning of the credits, but then they don't have that one afterwards, which I think is so dumb because you got everybody in the theater fucking waiting for that part, and then you don't have anything to show them. Then they're pissed and everything. So it's just like, dude, just throw something else out there. Throw a little Ant-Man section in there if anything. Throw just something,
I think almost what them throwing no final teaser at the end of Avengers 2. I think that was almost kind of like that mouse coming out saying, "Fuck you! I got your money. See you next year."
Yeah, you'll be here no matter what. We don't even need to throw these out anymore. Huh? You little fuck.
I think they did it because it was one of those things. Imagine how pissed off people were. Like, all right, I got to work tomorrow, but I really want to see this fucking movie, so I'll go to the late showing. And you know what? I'll even stay for the stinger. What the fuck? Especially since people are saying, you know what? There might be a little bit of a Spider-Man teaser. There just might be a Spider-Man teaser. Just saying, So, and then it's just oh, it's just the Infinity Glove. Okay, whatever. Well, we'll get something. You just wait, you wait more. And what the fuck is this? Ain't nothing there,
Yeah, I thought that was kind of bullshit. It's just dude, come on. How hard is it for you guys just to whip something? You got all these other Marvel movies coming out too. Just throw something else in there, a little teaser.
Black Panther or Captain Marvel,
Yeah, just something. It's just I think that's just sort of especially on something as big as Avengers 2, it's a waste to not throw it on that one.
I think it's kind of maybe because most of their Phase 3 stuff, they probably, the only thing, I don't know if they started filming any of their Phase 3 stuff. I know Ant-Man's done and that's on its way in here, but who knows? Maybe they're doing some filming for Phase 3. We'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, Ant-Man's still kind of Phase 2.
No, that's Phase 3. That's the beginning of Phase 3.
Oh, is it?
They said they count that as Phase 3, and they said they have enough faith in Ant-Man to consider it, like, to bring it right after Avengers. It's actually, I keep on forgetting, that movie's coming out this year. That's coming out later in the summer.
I know. Well, we get kind of there's kind of like a handful because there's also like that Fantastic Four one, which I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence about that one. I mean, I'll go see it anyways.
It looks like Christopher Nolan's Fantastic Four.
It just my only fear is it just looks like nothing's gonna happen in it for a long time. I just have this feeling that like it's gonna be.
Like they're doing this big epic sci-fi movie that just happens to kind of be a superhero movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks just a little bit. Now, once again, this sounds like I'm kind of coming back around like from like my complaints about sometimes the regular Marvel movies, but it's like it almost looks a little too serious. I mean, maybe it needs just a little bit more fun splashed onto it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Fantastic Four. It should be slightly fun. I mean, but maybe, I think it's one of those ones they're doing the thing. They're almost doing the Batman and Robin thing. They're like, okay, well, Fantastic Four 1 and 2 movies were a little bit too much fun and a little bit too much kind of, being easy and light. Let's make this one super dark and serious.
I'm thinking about it now. Just the name, Fantastic Four. The intense sci-fi drama you've been waiting for, It's just because it looks so like, I know it's Fantastic Four, and it's just like, when you think Fantastic Four, like, Fantastic Four, wow, it's going to be like, all awesome and whimsical and shit like that. Now you're watching like, Fantastic Four, some shit's going to go down, and you ain't going to be happy,
Oh, well, you know what? I have. This is how I kind of picture it. I have a feeling it's going to feel like Amazing Spider-Man, where like you'll be like, okay, well that's actually a really good movie, but those other Fantastic Four movies came out not that long ago, so we sort of already know who the Fantastic Four are. You don't need to explain for an hour plus who these guys are. Let's just get with it. I do just have a feeling it's going to be like that.
I have a feeling it's going to be something to the effect of like, it's going to be like, what was I going to say? I have a feeling it's going to be kind of like, they get to they're not going up to space, they're going like cross-dimensional stuff, that's where they get their powers, and they're kind of stuck in this other dimension for a good portion of the movie, and then they kind of have the superhero stuff happen at the end. That's kind of like what it looks like from the most recent trailer. I mean, I'll probably see it, but it's like...
Well, I'll go see it for sure. I mean, like, hell, I saw the other ones in theaters, so like, what stopped me from seeing this one? But...
yeah.
It's just one of those ones where... I don't know. I don't want to like, guess what the movie's gonna be, but just from like looking at the trailer, I have this feeling that that's what it's gonna be. It's not, and I'm not gonna say that's gonna be necessarily make it a bad movie, but I just have a feeling I'm gonna sit there going, being like, dude, there was a Fantastic Four movie like only a little over 10 years ago. No matter what people think of it, though, I mean, I will say it gets the ball rolling. That Fantastic Four movie. I think, yeah, maybe you could have made, the ending, make, Doctor Doom better and everything else, but they really explain everything enough that's like their powers, how they get them, they go to space, come back, they're superheroes, blah, 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 blah. Everybody knows who they are, they live in the Baxter building, boom, we're set up.
Doom, I'm kind of tired of Doom. You grab someone else, get the bug guy or...
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, I feel, is Doctor Doom going to be the only bad guy in this one, too? It's like, dude, Fantastic Four has this big roster. Yeah, it's like Fantastic Four has this big roster, and if it's Doctor Doom and a couple other people, then I'm totally cool with that. But I just hope it's not really kind of like a retelling of sort of like just that regular Fantastic Four 1 movie, just in a darker, more realistic, more serious setting.
It looks a lot kind of like it's just kind of like the quick kind of filler shots they show. I mean, they look like kind of filler shots, right? But the quick, just shots they show of landscapes and whatnot in the first trailer and a little bit of the second trailer, it reminds me like it's trying to be kind of like Interstellar, like a very, it's still like a superhero movie to an extent, but they're trying to make it more of kind of like this grand scale, like old school science fiction movie.
Yeah. That's definitely, it has that feel to it. I'm not saying that, I mean, like, hell, it could be a damn fine movie. And it's one of those ones, as I said, I'll go see it anyway. It's Fantastic Four. I'm not going to, like, miss out on it. But...
I mean, I never really cared that much for Fantastic Four. I always liked Ben Grimm. I always thought Ben Grimm was a great character.
I think that character is what makes the Fantastic Four fantastic.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
Everybody else is kind of like Reed. I tolerate Reed. Sue, whatever. Johnny's better than the Reed and Sue, but I always really liked Ben Grimm.
Like he's almost like he's kind of like Wolverine, where you could put him in a solo series and you'd be there because he's just that cool of a character.
I was glad when they made him a member of the new Avengers.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's those ones like as I said, like out of the Marvel universe, Fantastic Four isn't like my favorite, but I mean, as I said, I'll be there anyways to go see it. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hope they add a little bit more like layers to it, and it's not just the classic superhero build-up that we've seen a billion times by now with everything. So it's like this point, it's just let's just jump into it. You know what I mean? Like, because you can explain every origin in 5 minutes. Nobody's origin needs to take longer than 5 minutes. I mean, one of the ones I think it works really fine for is Batman Begins and some other ones, but let's just get on with it by this point.
I think they're trying to do Batman Begins. That's what it looks.
It just literally looks like Batman Begins.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It could just be like a 5-10 minute scene, but it really trailer makes it look like they spend some time in this other like dimension or world, and then when they get back, they have these powers. And I'm guessing maybe I'm wrong here. When they come back, like Doom comes after them. So maybe I'm wrong here, but like maybe Doom's like the leader of this the overlord of this other dimension or something like that. Which that's kind of cool right there. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with them having like this country. I mean, I think it's the thing that they have trouble like. Well, people won't believe there's this made-up country called Latveria. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, well, this one he's just like an evil billionaire, and this movie, I guess he's interdimensional or something. Well, I mean, who knows? We'll see when the movie comes out.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out. As I said, I just hopefully hope that they just don't do they don't do it like an Amazing Spider-Man thing, because once again, Amazing Spider-Man, it's a great movie, but if the original Spider-Man didn't work out, then I think it'd be perfect. And I think this one, if this was the first Fantastic Four movie they did since maybe like the 94 one, then I would say, yeah, that's totally fine. If you want to make it kind of long, that's okay. But since those other Fantastic Four movies came out not too long ago, a little over 10 years ago, that makes me feel old too when I say that.
Yeah, don't think about it.
But and I think those movies are a good enough start. I mean, I don't think they're perfect movies, but I think they're a good. They explain everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if they just had like a third sequel to those movies, I know that sounds kind of weird, and then just change the tone of them just in the third one and just kind of did that, I would have been fine with that too.
Why don't you just wake up, like one of them just wakes up like, whoa, what is it? I just had a weird fucking dream. Well, watching two really weird fucking dreams. They're really fucking stupid.
It was almost like we were on the set of a sitcom, though we were in the Baxter Building.
Yeah, and on top of that, you were played by this point it's the current cast. Like for some reason, I was white and I was played by Chris Evans, and you were the guy from S.H.I.E.L.D. It was fucking weird. But anyway, yeah, let's go save the world. Okay, that's the way you can open up. Like that's the way you can open up like the new Fantastic Four.
Somebody had to explain this to me. I thought this whole time that the black guy in the new Fantastic Four movie, I thought that was the Thing. I'm like, oh, they got a black Thing now? That's cool. And then somebody's like, no, dude, that's Johnny Storm. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I think it would be better to have like Johnny Storm. I think if you were to have like a race swap, I think Johnny Storm would be the better one to go with. That way, it's just like
the only thing that makes it kind of weird is the fact that I can't
fucking tell if he's all covered in fucking rock,
Well, that's what I thought too. I was like, boy, that sounds like a weird one. It's just like, here's this black guy, and he's gonna turn into a rock, so we don't need him anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. Like when you put it that way, it just sounds like. I mean, it sounds way more progressive because every so often it sounds like they're trying to be progressive, and that right there, it's like, okay, yeah, trying to be progressive, but when you make the Thing though, that's gonna be like. What's the fucking point of that? You're just going to throw him like in a big CG suit from the get-go. It won't really fucking matter. But then I was like, okay, Johnny Storm, though, that actually makes sense right there. I think that, like, Michael B. Jordan's a pretty good actor. I like him in everything I've seen him in. He was good in Fruitvale Station. He was really good in Chronicle. So I think that, and I don't really know Johnny Storm well enough, but I think that, I'm sure he'll probably do a fine job.
I think so, too. I think the other thing that makes it kind of weird is the fact that, like, are they not like brother and sister in this one?
I want to say that like Sue was adopted.
Oh, okay, so yeah, but I mean, like whatever. I know they're kind of giving off a different version of it. I'm like, I don't really care too much. I know some people are complaining for the fact that Mr. Fantastic is not old, because they're like the whole point of Mr. Fantastic is supposed to be older than everybody else, or him and Ben are, And it's just one of those ones I'm like, okay, so they're all about the same age. Well, whatever.
But now it's like one of those things. I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of see. I don't see it entirely, but I almost kind of do understand some producer stuff. Like, well, the way they got to look at it, longevity. They're looking at fucking sequels. They don't want him to be kind of like 50 and be like, it's fucking clobbering time, you know. So.
Well, if he's just voice acting, a lot of voice actors go on for many years still doing voices. Apparently, in Japan,
voice acting. I guess I remember like Michael Chick Douglas was all like in like a big like fucking clay suit and shit. So.
Yeah, nowadays it's not that. Well,
he's a CG thing now, so I forgot about that.
Here's a little roundabout to our Dragon Ball Z one. Apparently, the lady that plays Goku in Japan's version of that, she's like over 80 years old. She's still voicing Goku.
I heard that. Yeah. She's still voicing other stuff too. She's like the queen of voice acting in Japan.
Yeah, so go figure. I think it's like the weirdest thing though. It's like they just never changed Goku's voice from like when he was a kid. It's just like, well, this lady's doing a great job. Just let her keep doing it. It's like, oh, okay. Even though he's a
He never left the studio. She refused to leave. She's still there today.
Yeah, it's like even though Goku became a full-grown man, we're just gonna still have this woman voicing him, even though he's not a boy anymore.
That's why, I mean, you know, I can take a lot of, I can listen to a lot of, I can do like subtitled anime, but in Dragon Ball Z, that's one where I'm just like, just throw on the dub, just because it sounds so weird seeing this guy who's very ripped and buff, and like, you know, it's like, what? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know. Like, I just like my American voice cast or Canadian voice cast, whichever one you're you know watching more than. Yeah, I feel subtitles like I like them when the dub is bad, but that's just.
Well, we should probably cut it off there.
Yeah, but that's a long extra 10-minute extended scene, but
Are we gonna like just drop that in there like before? Are we gonna like edit it around anywhere, or just like, oh, here's like a 10-minute Marvel stinger?
I'll probably do something like I've done this before on some episodes where I cut it off like at the where we end it, and then it goes through its final like section, and then it comes on at the end like a little like zinger.
So this being like a little 10-minute zinger.
Yeah, I know other podcasts do it too. Arnold Radio News does it every once in a while, and so on.
It's like, I thought these fuckers are done. Jesus, man. You know.
Like, oh, fucking going on for over 2 hours now. Mostly, I always I keep 2 hours as like that cutoff mark, but whatever. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, that's all, folks.